Yeah, am I live? I think I've been live for a minute. Hold on. Oh wait, hold on. So the live stream. So Streamlabs has the chat. Hold on. Word. Huh. I don't have any viewers yet though. So I'll wait. Oh wait. Let's go over here. Let's see. Hey yo, cat. Hey yo, cat. Yo. Oh, the chat's working. Oh, I can see the chat is working. I haven't live streamed in a minute, so I don't know how this works. Yo, what's up, Darth Side? Darth Side. I like that. Darth Side. Okay. Got a couple of people in here. So I was just waiting for, I guess, for a couple of people to come so I could explain what's going on. Basically, what I'm gonna do today is just read a little bit from female dating strategies. Um, I've been getting a couple of like messages. I wouldn't say messages, but like I'll get yes, I'm live. And yeah, I'm being a little bit of a boomer. But so I've been getting like updates and notifications from this subreddit for a while, and I figured I'll just actually kind of talk about some of this stuff and just, take a good look at it. So, that's what we're going to be doing today. The first thing we're going to do is I have a couple of posts. I don't know how long this is going to go on. I'm just kind of going to go until like we just go through here, till we get to the end. So let's start. I'm going to start here. I'm going to start with this because this is I don't know who she is. I think she might be a moderator. I don't know, but she makes this post where she says female dating strategies is not a place for you if you're not willing to examine your own attitudes, beliefs, and behaviors, right? And I thought that this was really funny because honestly, if you like, oh, you don't know the half of all the tabs I have, by the way. You don't even know. Anyhow, um, if you read these posts, which you guys will see, yeah, as time goes on, you guys will see. Um, no, it's kind of not. It's kind of not. It's not that good. Yeah. Well, the reason why I have so many tabs open is because we're gonna go through all these tabs, and I actually have browsers of tabs. You guys don't even know. You guys think this is a lot of tabs. This is easy mode right now. So like I said, so the ladies, this is what she says. She says we get a massive influx of women who come here seeking advice and support, and we're always open to giving it. However, what we will not do is coddle women who have made objectively bad decisions and tell them that they've done nothing wrong. We will also not entertain the manipulative, live fem bullshit that women should unconditionally support all women because they have a vagina. Now, I will say one thing that's interesting is it's kind of hard. I don't really care too much about people politically, but the reason why I do pay attention to people politically is because there's always like a particular personality type with people, So no, I'm not still on MySpace. Why would you ask me that? Goodbye. Why would you ask me if I'm still on MySpace? I mean, maybe my account still exists, but like, I don't, I don't think, I don't still use the website. Um, anyhow, so the reason why I pay attention to people politically is it's more the personality types that you'd find with them, and then like than anything else. Like as far as what they actually believe politically, I would put under scrutiny to any idea. But I think the only reason why I care about liberals is because there's a particular personality type with people who are usually liberals and people who are usually like conservatives, or at least who proudly proclaim it. So the thing that's interesting to me about them is, they say, liberal feminist stuff. They're not liberal and they're not feminist, but there's still like a lot of that feminist ideology inside of them, which we'll kind of see throughout, throughout the presentation today, quote unquote today. Um, so a huge part of leveling up is developing the ability to reflect on your own actions honestly. We would be doing women a disservice if we don't tell them the truth about how their actions can affect how yeah, how their actions can affect outcomes. Between all of us, we probably have thousands of years worth of experience when it comes to dealing with men. It would be foolish on your part to ignore sage advice that is given for free because you feel attacked that somebody has questioned your choices and behaviors. Some of you need to learn to take constructive criticism in a graceful way and not get defensive. At the end of the day, the subreddit is where it is because we don't sugarcoat bullshit. We say it like it is. If it isn't your style, there are plenty of other subreddits and online spaces that may be better suited for you. So I guess this is her attempt to kind of clean house, which is appreciated, but I do feel isn't as, I don't want to call it disingenuous because the person that wrote this, to be fair to them, they probably really mean it. But this is not really the general trend of female dating strategies. It's not really a space where one comes to challenge their beliefs about males and grow as a human being, which you'll see because it's actually, you guys will see it. I think it might be better to show you guys than they'll explain it, and that's kind of part of what this presentation is for. So I'm gonna read some of these comments. So it goes, yeah, I know where this is going. Women really take accountability. Yeah, partly Key or Kai. Maybe it's Kai Turner. I don't know. Juicel. Bass should make a video about the study cell trap. Basically, like wasting your life studying away, reading books, but not socially facing the world, being trapped in theory. I don't know why you guys come up with these odd. I don't even know what to call these words. It's a little silly to me when people come up with these words. Study cell. I mean. Sure, I'll talk about that concept at some point. I think you have to remind me. Like, send me something on, like, send me a tweet or something, so I can like put it in my notebook or something, or more accurately say my notepad. What's up, Try Naruto? But yeah, I can talk about that at some point. I think that'd be a good video to make. Dude, close some of your tabs. No, I'm gonna use them. You came late, buddy. I'm gonna use these tabs. I'm gonna read. These tabs will be closed over time. I'm gonna read them all. Yeah, Kahai, Turner. Okay. Kahai, got you. I feel like an attempt in their subs, but like you said, most of their posts and comments still don't line with this post. Exactly, which is what we will be looking at. My brother Victor will be looking at that. All right. Here's one tab being closed for you guys. There you go. One of the tabs has been closed. So, actually, let me try something. See if I can. That's moving it. Can I? No, it doesn't look like I can zoom in. I was going to try to zoom in a little bit, but, it doesn't look like I can. So, let's start. So, this was a post I saved. It came out 2 months ago. A bit old in internet time, but you know what? It's still pertinent. So, shower thought on why the scrotes are angry with us. Now, let's just pause right there. Now, I don't even know if this is YouTube friendly. I don't even know if I can, say this. But they refer to males as scrotes, which obviously is the they're putting attention on the scrotum men have, but I think it might be like their attempt or like them trying to do the balancing act of like men referring to women as pussies or something like that, which even then that's more of a term, which interestingly enough is more of a term used against other men for being weak. So it is a bit odd to me that they're trying to reduce men down to just their genitalia. I guess maybe the same way like pussy does, but it also just to me just doesn't really seem to me like the trying to be like the men you dislike just kind of waters the message down, I feel. And this is what I mean when I say the spirit of feminism is still in them. where they're trying to be like men. Like they're trying to adopt the same kind of thing. Like yeah, Obi-Wan Kenobi. When you say like foids or like femoids, they're trying to adopt that kind of reductionist view of a person. And to me, like I said, I don't think that this would align with the quote unquote leveling up as a human, which I guess honestly kind of spins off into its own conversation about the way we use words and their meanings, and how if people have different definitions for something, that it's kind of utterly useless to use as a term. But again, that goes beyond the scope of what I'm talking about here. It's just them trying to adopt this reductionist view that they apparently dislike, because I've seen lots of women post about how they don't like when men refer to them as females, when I mean that's just what they are. They're human females. It's like you don't look better when you do this. You look worse. And the reason why you look worse is because you know it's bad. You know it's a silly thing to do. You're going to do it anyway. But let's just keep going. Let's keep going. So I've been using Reddit for many years, and I've adopted Reddit mannerisms, lingos, memes. I mean, that's just probably part of it, whatever it may be. I've seen how people talk to each other on here, enough to make it a part of who I am. So when I see us roasting the scrotes, I don't see it as more vulgar or insensitive as to what the conversation is site-wide. So again, it's like you're not any better as a person than any of these other people, which confuses me, because I imagine that's the whole point, is to try to become a better woman. But we'll see what that really entails as we go through my tabs. So why do the scrotes seem so pissed at the way we talk about them when there are countless examples of men speaking more horribly about women on Reddit? So the thing about ladies in general is there's a lot of competing with men. There's a lot of trying to be like men, or trying to balance the equation. And I don't think that is conducive to any type of relationship. A relationship where you're kind of competing with the person, or like trying to battle the person or overcome them, to me is a bit goofy. I feel like try to find the best way to articulate this. Like competing with men, I don't really think, it's not even that I think that women can't do it. It's just that if you're trying to have a relationship with somebody, making them your enemy in your own home is just a recipe for disaster. It's just a recipe for destruction, because you're going to be aggravated with each other all the time, because you're always trying to one up the other person. The whole point of being in a relationship, or having friends, or having a community, is that you guys work together and help each other out. Healthy competition is one thing. It's fine to play video games in an environment that's like free of consequence. But when you're actually trying to make a life together, or when you're actually trying to like work with these people, always constantly trying to be the same, or constantly trying to battle them, it's just going to cause frustration, which is what we see all the time. So let's read some. I'm gonna read some of these comments. All they know is social mimicry. It's how they evolved and adapted. That might be part of it, I would say. But the thing is, why would they mimic? The problem is, what they're mimicking is, like, they're mimicking, I wouldn't say like the worst behavior. Well, it's not the best, but it's also not the worst. But they're not mimicking like their grandmas. They're not like mimicking, people that do something good, or they're not mimicking like the best behavior of people. It's kind of like I said, they're mimicking like the internet culture. You don't really see women like trying to be like heroic. Like, they don't mimic Hercules. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Like, they don't mimic Spider-Man. So like, why is it particularly that they want to mimic like the internet culture of like kind of being crappy? Yes, Whirly Squirrely, I am doing a live stream. I'm doing a live stream. Black pill panels just make me feel depressed. Yeah, they that's the point. They should. There's no hope. There's no striving to do anything different when you watch a black pill channel. I'm responding to you, Buddy Lee 4. I can see. Wheat Waffles is the only black pill channel I'm subscribed to. See, yeah, Hercules, man, Hercules is good. Yes, Quan, this will stay up. I think. If it goes down, it's not because I wanted to. It's because I just don't know how to save live streams, but it should stay up. Uh, I'm trying to find channels. I don't know who Renegade One is. I couldn't tell you. I don't know why you came here to. I honestly, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. Like, if you came here to look for black pill content, you're not gonna find it. Like, I'm not a black pillar. I think I think haven't I uploaded? I think I've always meant to make a video where I talk about the problems with the red pill and the black pill, but like I'm not. I'm not an incel. I think I've said every time I bring this concept up, it's a stupid word. It's a word that means the opposite of itself. Number one. Number two, I'm usually always very optimistic. As much as I may complain about stuff, the ultimate point is kind of to identify it so you guys know to avoid it. Well, that's a sad thing to say. Renegade One committed. Did he? I don't know who that is, unfortunately. But that's not good. That's sad. That's not good stuff. But also, you guys aren't really talking about the topic. But I guess I can give you my thoughts on the black pill as a break to respond to you guys. I guess the black pill is the truth, but I mean, the truth doesn't necessarily mean that everything is dour and bad. It just is the reality. The reality of the situation is what? That women want males who are attractive and above them, and they want to take their resources. Certainly, there are women like that. Is every woman of this caliber? Of course not. So now that you have the knowledge that there are some women who are like that, you identify them early, and then you avoid them. There you go. It's not just I mean, it may be the truth, but that doesn't mean that like it's that is one is the absolute truth, or it just applies to everyone. You got to take the information and you have to apply it reasonably. And one way to apply it reasonably is to do checks and balances of women and to see like what their character is and who they are as people. You know, again, like if she's a shallow woman, then you avoid her. There you go. You know, you don't lose anything from avoiding a woman that is shallow and is after your materialistic stuff. You know, you're just neutral. Like your life remains the same basically if you avoid women like that. There's no loss, there's no gain. You just, however you live, you're just the same. You know? Yeah, exactly. Slick on top. How you handle the black pill is entirely on you. Either you become nihilistic or you can use it as a motivator to better your own life. Yeah. I mean, yeah. There you go. Anyhow, well, we're not on topic. We gotta get back on topic. All right, because our anonymity and our ability to actually speak our mind. Truth is, the way I've always talked on Reddit is not how I comport myself IRL. Well, obviously, that's duh. That's it's a little bit unnecessary to say. I'm also two different people online and in person. That's not really good, but whatever. So men on here must think we're at best not serious with what we think and feel, and at worst that we're some cult niche trolls eating in a dungeon, too much of a minority that we don't exist for any practical reason. Well, I don't think so. I mean, the truth of the matter is, nothing any of these women say is outlandish, as far as that's not a general consensus of how women think. Like you can kind of find generally like a lot of people who kind of agree with a lot of the stuff that we see here in female dating strategies. Is that it's actually really interesting that these women think that they're niche, but I've kind of encountered this stuff in the wild all the time, and none of these women have probably ever even heard of Reddit. You know, the women that kind of agree with the stuff that we see here. No, I don't know. I think the problem I kind of have here is a little bit of a projection. They lived in this tiny bubble their entire lives, thinking women must be nice, docile creatures and must never have any real complaints. Now this here is a really absurd line to me, because it kind of shows a little bit of a lack of, I wouldn't even say a lack of kind of like a lack of cultural awareness, because this is not the general thought process of like men on the internet. In fact, what's kind of perfect is you guys in the comment section, like you guys, the viewers here, you guys are kind of showing that this is not generally how people think of women on the at all on the internet. To me, it's a bit bizarre that she would ever say this, if she's like, and in fact, it's a little bit of a bizarre line in comparison to like what she said earlier. Why do the Scroats seem so pissed at the way we talk about them when there are countless examples of men speaking horribly about women on Reddit? It's like, well, how is it simultaneously that the men on Reddit are saying horrible things about women, but they also think that women are nice and docile, and that women don't have any complaints about them. It just doesn't. It's a little incongruent, and the reason why it's incongruent is this: it's because a lot of people aren't taking character into consideration, and the lady here isn't taking character into consideration at all. That the same men who will speak horribly about women wouldn't be the same men that are thinking women are nice, docile creatures. If these men thought that women were nice and docile, like, why would they be speaking? Do you think men have a disdain for being nice and being docile? Like, you would have to believe that, you know. So to me, this is a little bit of very interesting cognitive dissonance. But let's continue. Any complaints we do have must be complaints mostly related to or pertaining to feminine things, like, oh, my period came in today, take care of me, senpai woo. What? This is a little bit of an odd reduction to me, where she's saying that she thinks that we as men think that the only complaints that women have is the fact that they may have like a period. But that's just again, if you've been baked on the internet for the last 6-7 years, there's just a huge battle between the way men and women relate to each other, and none of it is any of this nonsense here. Again, like I'm gonna read some of these comments here is just gonna prove my point. Well, actually, no, you guys are talking a lot about the black pill, which we'll get. I guess we'll have to get back to the black pill apparently, because you guys keep talking about it. Maybe I'll have to make a whole stream about the black pill then. But anyhow, yeah, talking about, going back on topic here, no, this, to me, she doesn't seem aware. Like, it seems more like she's kind of complaining or arguing with her imagination than like really addressing. It's like particularly on any subreddit, or like on Reddit, or like on YouTube or Twitter or something, because like this is just not what men are saying about women in general today. When we have real complaints, real problems related to how women are treated by society at large, they mistake that we're just some tiny fringe minority and not really worthy of any real thought. Like, again, this is bizarre. Literally, we've been dealing with like feminism for like the last, like, I mean, feminism on YouTube is kind of mostly dead, but feminism on TikTok is alive and well. It's like women constantly complain about men and the way they're treated in society. It's not even, it's normal. I don't even know why she would believe this. They have no idea that all women go through the same issues we described here on female dating strategies, just at different degrees in some instances. They have no idea what women actually want and desire. They have no idea how to even be friends with a woman without being creeps. I love that word, women. I love creeps, because to me, it just almost doesn't mean anything anymore. They actually have to try, which sucks, because honestly it should represent someone that makes you feel uncomfortable and unsettled. But honestly, a lot of ladies use it to just describe them not liking someone, that it just doesn't even feel, it doesn't have the impact it should for me. And in fact, unfortunately, I honestly kind of dismiss it, which I probably shouldn't, but I do. They actually have to try to be man these days. Why? Or I probably meant men these days, but whatever. Why? Because we don't need them. We simply don't need them at all. Now, again, this is absurd. This is an absurd line. You need everybody in society. Thinking that you don't need, well, I guess you don't technically need people, I guess, to have friendships and whatnot. If you wanted to just go to work and go home, I guess you could physically do that. But at the same time, if you go to the grocery store, you had a trucker bring all that food to that grocery store, and you had someone grow that food. So you may not talk to those people personally, but you need them, because you're not growing your own food. You're not transporting your food across the country. Now, of course, I think a lot of now this is just me kind of talking about the interconnected weave of society in general. But what she's really saying is that when a lot of women say they don't need men, they mean they don't need men as providers. Like, the only thing they really are concerned with for men is just kind of their ability to give them stuff. And I think that again, it's a reductionist to like the roles men have, quote unquote, or the role that men are supposed to have, quote unquote. But it isn't really it's not really a good or an authentic view of men entirely. Because there's a lot to males as people. I mean, not even just as supportive units, Like having a good friend around as a man who has a different perspective or has gone through different things in life is very important. Saying that you don't need men because you don't need their money, to me, again, is a kind of ridiculous reduction of what men are as people. So after I finish reading this last paragraph, I'm going to read some of these comments and respond to you guys. Anyway, the only real takeaway I have from this shower thought is that we have to be more open about how we feel in real life. We may have to dress it up a bit, but if we only have the balls to speak up about it in online forums, we will never be taken seriously. Which, again, this is a little, this is a bit tone deaf. That might be a good word to use. It's because I almost kind of feel like she doesn't exist in real life. Or she doesn't, exist on, she doesn't pick up TikTok or something. Or, she doesn't have any female friends, because young ladies constantly complain about men. Constantly. It's not even, it's almost outrageous, the amount of, there's more women. You have a much harder time finding women saying something nice about men than you'd ever. It's like a needle in a haystack when you go on the internet and look at the way women generally treat and talk about young men. We have to bring it up every single day of our lives and make it known. Blah blah blah. There's blah blah blah. Whatever. So the reason why I kind of wanted to start with this again is because I wanted to kind of show you guys some of these young ladies. It's almost like they're not a part of the same society. And you know what? Thinking about it on the internet, Mex chick, maybe she isn't. But here in America, at the very least, if you, like I say, if you go on TikTok or you kind of go anywhere generally on the internet, there's a lot of complaining about men from young ladies. It's normal. It's not even outlandish. All right, we're done with that. One more tab closed. Do you see that, guys? I closed the tab. I closed it. I closed one of the tabs. All right, you guys. I'm gonna go scroll up a little bit and read some of these comments. Yeah, Reddit is a literal sea of trash. Cope, hope, or rope. No one rides for free. Well, I will say a lot of people, what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of misconstrue the concept of coping. You should be coping with harsh realities in the world. You should be trying to find a way to manage and deal with stuff that's difficult. That's what the word means. You're not supposed to hear something bad and terrible and never do anything about it. You should be striving to be better. You should be trying to heal, or you should be trying to deal with it. You should be coping. Coping is exactly what people should be doing when told a harsh reality. They should be trying to find a way to deal with it. And you can cope by reading books, and going or writing books, or you can cope by making YouTube videos. You can do whatever you want. But to me, it's a bit goofy to not think about to not cope, or to kind of put coping in a negative way. You're supposed to. Yeah, all our arguments are. Yeah, I think all our arguments are projection on that last post. They don't want to have to be right because the world will always support them. True. I have never thought of women as docile or weak or having any problems. I never thought about it. I heard a bunch of feminist stuff from YouTube and took it in somewhat, but that's all. Yeah, that's kind of. And that's also another thing. A lot of young men aren't really thinking of women as docile, especially not in the black community. That's. If you were a young man and you ever described a black woman as docile, I would like to know where you grew up. I would love that. Yeah, creep is just code word for low tier male. I guess I wouldn't even say low tier male as much as just any dude they're not attracted to, which I wouldn't necessarily say means the man is low tier because a woman isn't attracted to him. I mean, if you look at the way some young ladies mate select, you're kind of better for not being picked than you are being picked. Because some of the guys kind of suck. I don't even know or want to know how to befriend women. I mean, Darth side, it's not hard. I mean, they're just people. I mean, they're just people. They some of them suck, and you just have to identify. And you'd have to identify men that are terrible. You would. So women aren't really special in that regard as much as they can be terrible. You just have to have the wisdom to understand some people suck, and you have to avoid them. I think there's just kind of like the reason why I usually point this stuff out is just kind of to give you guys a back catalog of people you should avoid and not invest in. Creeps is just a catch-all for all the guys who don't want approaching them. Yeah, pretty much. Hold on. Is this a super chat? Oh, Slum Digger super chatted. Man says he doesn't need woman. He is delusional and woman hating. Woman says she doesn't need men. She's empowered and independent. So, yeah, that's another. Yeah, that's beautiful. I'll have to make a video where we talk about that, like specifically, because that's a good point. By the way, you didn't have to super chat me, my man, but appreciate you. You guys don't ever have to super chat, by the way. I'm gonna go through the comments. 1/4 homeless men are female. 1/4 of homeless are females that get more attention. Same story for breast cancer versus prostate, domestic violence. Yeah. How these women don't see how society caters to them boggles my mind. I think what the problem is lots of people oftentimes always kind of want to focus more on what they don't have rather than what they do have. They are the best word to use is they're ungrateful. Miote, is this Miote Yordi? I don't know how to pronounce your name. I'm sorry, but I'm addressing your comment. Why does society assume women as gods or establishing relationships norms, and men are supposed to be the fluid fitting in the container? Well, we've created a society that is relatively safe, and what I mean by that is like there's lots of protections that everyone really has and everyone really enjoys. You know, you have like a police force, you know, kind of thing. We don't really have to hire mercenaries to keep us safe as we travel down the road, kind of stuff like that, which isn't to say that there's no crime, but, you know, most people will go through their lives, you know, relatively safely and not experiencing, you know, like being mugged or being attacked, depending on the area that you're in. A lot of people will be able to, you know, putting in that caveat. So, you know, the problem is, you know, when we've kind of elevated women because they have so much choosing power, because men have to appeal to them so much, rather than like the opposite, or rather than like it's kind of like a general kind of we're courting each other. You know, a lot of people have gotten to the habit of always puffing up women because they always want something from them, and a lot of young ladies kind of don't see it because they're really insecure beyond reason. But a lot of the puffing up of them is to manipulate them at some point. You know, like the social engineers, I guess you could say, or like, I don't know if it's the Jews, I don't know if it's the Illuminati, but the social engineers, I guess I'm just gonna call them, you know, because I don't know who the true villain is, has created a world of dysfunction so they can control both men and women. And I think one of the things was kind of elevating young ladies so high and making men chase after them, because it's easier to control men when you control women, because basically men are always going to try to appeal to women. Men are always going to try to chase after women in this safe relative society, right? Because, you know, you can't just grab a woman and just do what you want with her. You can't just buy a woman. Like, you have to appeal to them, you know. And one of the biggest problems with like trying to appeal to young ladies is kind of how they mate select, and they mate select a lot based on how they feel, kind of, rather than like character and like being reasonable and like being treated well, which we'll see, by the way, as we continue to read. But I think that's why. I hope that's a good response to you. Oh, we got another super chat. Hold on. What's this super chat for? No, it's just a donation. Yo, thank you, man. Thank you, my man. Man, there's a lot of comments, a lot of stuff I gotta read. Yeah, simple ungratefulness. All right, guys. Let's go back to reading. Well, yes, Jay. Yes, you can't officially buy them. Is what I mean. You can't like officially buy them. Like, you can yeah, I mean, you can unofficially buy them, like by just having a bunch of like stuff and having like and basically kind of strong arming them to you, because it's just such an overwhelming like benefit for them. You know, you get a dude that can give them $10,000 that they give reckless abandon. Like they're not. There's a lot of ladies that aren't very principled, you can say, but so I guess technically you can't, but more technically you can. What's up, Rye Chillick? Reichlich. Is that Reichlich? I don't know. You say hi, Bass. What's up, my man? I'm doing all right. We're just we're going through the female dating strategies thing right now, my man. We're going through it. We gonna keep on going through it. All right, let's continue. I'm really effing tired of the give a short man a chance propaganda. Now, number one, I don't even know where this propaganda is coming from. Maybe me. Is it me? Because I know I say, being short, isn't really like, a character evaluation. I mean, relative to me, most people are shorter than me. I'm 6'1". But I've had lots of male friends of mine who were like 5'4", 5'5", and they're just great guys. They're just great dudes. You know what I'm saying? So, like, to me, it's all about character. But like I said, I asked God to make me tall, so who knows what it would have been like if the Lord didn't bless me. Who knows? Maybe I would have been one of those short guys. Maybe I'm selfish, internally actually, and it's just, I don't know. I'm just talking. Men and women friggin' love to tell other women that they aren't supposed to want a man taller than them. But you almost never see society bombard men to give regular shaped women a chance. That's a straight lie. Okay. I'm gonna be. I try to be fair to people. I don't know. You're not living in the same society I'm living in. You're just not. You're not. I see this on Instagram all of the time. Even which is kind of, you would think is pretty interesting that I see this like on Instagram, considering that there's a lot of incredibly spectacular, beautiful, or honestly bizarre looking women on there, with their plastic surgery. But I mean, it's just not true. Society absolutely we have the whole fat acceptance movement. Society absolutely bombards men to talk about regular shaped women or normal women, or to not give in to the Instagram thoughts. Constantly. I see this all the time. I see it on TikTok. I see it on Instagram. I see it on YouTube. Flat women a chance. Are you joking? You're joking. Older women a chance. You're kidding. It's just not true. It's just not true. It was on TikTok literally just a minute ago, where Brittany Renner was just talking about single mothers. Which I'll get into. I'll talk about that. I gotta talk about Brittany Renner again. I know you guys are mad at me for talking about Brittany Renner, but I gotta do it. It's gotta be done. It's just it's interesting to me, and it's not just interesting to me that as far as like I've seen the bombardment. It's also just like I'm totally fine with normal looking, regular meh women. I actually have I'm kind of inversely attracted. The more average a woman and plain looking a woman is, the more I'm attracted to her. It's odd. It's bizarre. The more supermodel Instagram-esque look that they have, the more I'm like, the more it's not that I can't recognize that it's attractive to someone. To me it's just it's like because then the reason why it's two reasons. One, it's always an over-exaggerated look of like what is attractive as a woman, which is what makeup is for. That's the purpose of it. It's supposed to be like that. But that over-exaggerated look kind of feels a bit too much to me. It's kind of like a bombardment to me. Like if you eat too much sugar, you start feeling bad. It's kind of like that. It's too much. But also, it's because I know it's not real. Like I know. Like, you're going to take the makeup off at some point. Like, you don't look like that. That's not how you actually look. So, to me, it's like being attached to that is ridiculous. Because that means I have to be attached to you spending like an hour every day to put your mask on. Rather than I can just wake up and look at your beautiful face and just appreciate that. So, that's why I think that's part of the reason why I'm kind of like inversely attracted to it. Like, I'm fine with women not wearing makeup. I prefer it. Like, your natural face is whatever it is that I like about your face. I like it. You don't need to. To me, you don't need to do anything. You don't need to change it. Obviously, skincare, take care of your face, wash it, and all that stuff. But I mean, apart from that, the makeup is what I'm really more referring to. But like this idea that like young men are the thing that's interesting to me is that like if you were to look at common relationships, you're gonna find a lot more like you would say overweight women, box shaped, regular, super skinny, you're gonna find they're gonna be in relationships more than you're even gonna find like a strong athletic looking dude. Like even a super fit dude is still gonna have some kind of issues finding women to date. Even if you think about like Captain America or something like that, he's still gonna have some kind of problems. It's to me this is a little disingenuous. This has to be a bit disingenuous to me, because I don't experience this in society. I don't know how this woman experiences this in society. She's like, no, then it's evolution herder, men are programmed to like barely leave. Excuse me? Whoa, what? What? Huh? Nani? Nambato? What? This one kind of came out of nowhere. Said what? Then it's my evolution made men to barely legal girls with 20-inch waists. Okay. The barely legal thing came out of nowhere to me. I don't know what that's about. I think, no, that's not true. I know a little bit of what that's about. There is certainly a lot of people who talk about how males are oftentimes attracted to like youth and beauty and fertility and all that good stuff. And that's mostly true. But like this idea that like men only want like 18-year-old girls. This is the apex fallacy. This is her only looking at like the top 10% of guys that, again, like we said earlier, are basically purchasing women with just like large amounts of money and materialistic stuff. I don't know if you guys saw, I made a video where I was talking about like the prostitute training of our generation, where we basically train young ladies to be prostitutes. That's actually, which I actually think is a really good example of this, by the way. Let me see. What was her name? Her name was like Blinky Bay or something on TikTok. I don't know if I can find it. Hold on. Maybe this is her. Let me see. Hopefully it's not too much. No, it's not her. I'm trying to remember. It was some chick. I did a video on her. You can see on my channel, where like this girl had a whole sugar daddy, and she's overweight, plain Jane looking girl. She would look really good if she lost a good amount of weight, actually, but she's kind of perfectly fine as she is, who somehow ended up being a lesbian, she says. I don't know how that works, but whatever. Yeah, go figure. Like, you're a lesbian, but you're still gonna go find sugar daddies to be with. Make that make sense. But it's like, it's just not true. And again, if you were to take average plain Jane girls and overweight women, you're gonna find, like, if you took 1,000, you're probably gonna find that honestly, like, maybe 70% of them are gonna be in some type of they're gonna have a relationship with someone. Like, overwhelmingly so. It's overwhelmingly easier for women to find men who are accepting of them being average or being plain than the opposite. It just is. To me, this is just being disingenuous. It's like, it's only looking at like, and this would probably be the best time to use creepy. Honestly, it would be like the creepy rich man who's trying to relive his life by being with the super hot girl he couldn't be with in high school. That's what this is. And I guess maybe some people defend that, but I'm not going to. I honestly, most people in my experience are pretty relative. Like, as in, like, they try to date people that are around the same age. Most people, like, don't really go for, like, age gaps, honestly, of above, like, 7 years. Usually. Most people. Are you going to find people who are going to be with someone that's, like, 15 years older? Yeah. I mean, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. But it's not typical. If you were to survey most relationships, most people are probably about 3 years around, like, in that age range between, again, like, no matter how, like, a 20-year-old's probably going to date like a 23-year-old, maybe, if not another 20-year-old. Like, most people honestly kind of stay in their age range. It's not, again, usually when you find such huge, large age gaps, it's because it's like a 19-year-old girl dating a like 60-year-old man that has a whole bunch of money. which again, is more closer to prostitution than it really is, like a genuine relationship where she's trying to form a family with this guy, So it's like, I'm gonna be honest with you, fam. Like, I don't think this is reasonable. I don't even think this is a fair, fair accusation to display on men. Now, as far as like a 20-inch waist, a lot of you guys probably, and the only way to, of course, she's over exaggerating, but like 20, I think that the 25 to 27-inch waist is what you would see on Instagram sometimes. Just to kind of give you guys an example, she's really over exaggerating, but it's like, again, most young men honestly are not gonna like grab a tape measure and measure the woman's waist and say, okay, yeah, you're good enough to breathe. That's not how young men operate. But if you dare say you want a tall man, you're painted as a sexist bully. Not really. Sexism isn't really the thing. So again, I know she's really just kind of ranting. I don't know what this is about, but it's not sexism. It's you're shallow is what people would call you. You're a shallow bully, and the reason why, and I don't think a lot of young ladies understand this, but the reason why is because women spend a lot of time talking about the way they look and how men shouldn't care. A lot of women constantly complain about how their value is put into their looks and their beauty, and they don't like it. And so it's like, you're a hypocrite. You're a hypocrite if you say that we shouldn't put look and value and respect in your physical appearance, and then you as a young woman turn around and like, oh no, but you got to be tall. Excuse me? Like, that's not fair. If you're gonna tell me that I need to look at you for your personality and love you for who you are, then you gotta keep that same energy. You gotta keep that same energy, man. You have to project that as well. I don't think, and I think that's what she doesn't see. I don't think she sees that, because like a lot of women, again, they complain about like not being attractive to men, and that they should be thought of as more than just sex objects. But then if that's the case, then you also have to give that to men, and you can't be like, well, nah, you're too short for me. If you're gonna be like that, now again, if you're a shallow lady and you're like, nuh-uh, like I work out and I do all this and I'm all glamored up, so you have to have all your tattoos and be tall and muscular. I mean, fair enough, that's your prerogative. But otherwise, if you're not that woman, then it's not reasonable, at least not to me. I'm just tired of men's desires, no matter how stupid, being framed as logical and reasonable, whereas all of ours are framed as elitist and frivolous. Well, I mean, they are. Like, as if taller men weren't evolutionarily beneficial to women. I mean, technically they're not. And the reason why I say technically they're not is because of the environment we live in. Like, we're in the 21st century. Honestly, even then, like even in antiquity, being super tall actually wasn't as common as it is now. And I say common, it's like only like 14% of men in America are over 6 feet tall anyway, as common, number one. But like number two, like being a tall person is good like when you need to reach high places. But there's a lot of disadvantages to being tall as well. It's more difficult to get into cramped spaces if you need to get to them. You'll bump your head against stuff if you're not paying attention to how high things are. I knocked my head against the ceiling numerous times. Which again, it isn't to say that there aren't any benefits to being tall, but like it's not evolutionarily beneficial to women. It would be beneficial to yourself. Being tall or being short, like it honestly really doesn't matter in our modern society, because we have so much technology to make our lives easier. So evolution would kind of favors different things, which is what we see. We see evolution honestly doesn't favor the super ultra ubermensch of males, because if it did, they would be the only men who reproduce, but they're not. So logically, seeing as they're not the only type of men who reproduce, the 6'4" super ultra mega man that makes 100K. In fact, you want to know something even more interesting? Actually, MGTOW by logic. In America, males 20 to 44 straight, not married, 6 feet tall and more. Yeah, there's only about 300,000 of them. I'm just going to round up. You said 200. I'm going to round up. 300,000 of them. The thing is, these men also aren't reproducing. Like, a lot of people that make a lot of money, they don't have a lot of children usually, which is interesting to me that this is so sexually appealing, but the women aren't getting pregnant and they aren't getting impregnated. And even if they are, I don't know. Like, I'm talking about like human evolution now, which honestly should be discussed. I want to discuss it at some point in time, but maybe I shouldn't with this one here. But I think that like a lot of the things here they don't match with like the way people actually operate. I feel men fill their own cup. Women are a funnel. You can't ever fill them like a man pours himself. As soon as you stop pouring into her, she leaves. That's a pretty good analogy. 20 is not barely legal. That's true, it's not. But even still, again, usually 20-year-olds are dating 20-year-olds. Usually, it's even when you find like a lot of the cases when you find that like it's like statutory, it's still usually like an 18-year-old to like a 16-year-old. Like, it's a 2-year difference. And sure, legally you shouldn't do it, but at the same time, it's like 2 years. You're not that far removed, really. From a 16-year-old to an 18-year-old, you're not that far removed. From a 17-year-old to a 19-year-old, you're just really not. I mean, it's just the reason why like age of consent is arbitrary is to find a way to just protect people from individuals who would take advantage of them. But at the same time, as arbitrary as it is, we have to understand that like relatively, again, like someone in that same age range isn't so like manipulative and like better. Like it would at that point, it wouldn't be age, it would be the person. Like if a 19-year-old with a 17-year-old, male or female, like at that point, it's not like they're just so much more lived in the world and can manipulate the person. It would be the individual themselves would be being manipulated by a bad person. It wouldn't be the age, it would be the character. So that kind of stuff like that, like you just have to be, I honestly feel you have to be reasonable. Like, you have to understand the principal point of like age of consent, like 18 or like 16, is to protect people from individuals that are more lived and more manipulative and more intelligent than they are, and to just say, no, you can't touch them. Fair enough. But again, like relatively, 18-year-old to a 16-year-old, just to be fair, it's like, it's 2 years. They're not that far removed from each other. It's so, you just have to be understanding, I feel. This one must watch nothing but red pill content to get a male perspective. That's the only explanation. Maybe whirly squirrely. Yes, but the attraction to youthfulness is moderated with wanting to have a relationship with SB that you're compatible with. That's more likely with SB that's relatively your age. Yeah. 3 to 4 years is the most common. Yeah. With a guy older 95% of the time, that's probably mostly true. I'm only interested in younger women because I want children. Women around my age are reaching the point they can't have children. That would make sense. Like, that would be reasonable. Because if you're like hitting around like 35 to like the 39 range, I'll assume, Antonio, then yes, that would make sense. But a lot of the like super rich guys who are like basically having sugar babies, they're not trying to like reproduce with them, which is what I'm thinking is the salt here. I'm thinking is what she's more referring to. I don't think, again, taking a small teeny tiny portion of society and then kind of displaying it to all of us is well, I mean, that's obviously unreasonable. I don't know why I feel the need to say that. Meanwhile, men getting height surgery, risking their legs to be able to get 3 out of 10 women that is obese. Yeah, no man should ever do height surgery. Take it from someone that is tall. Your life's not gonna. Reaching high places, like if you work with your hands, if you work in construction, like if you were a carpenter, then it'll be great. But let's be real. If you're a tall man, like, are you really gonna be a better accountant than a dude that's short? It would be because you're tall. Like, being tall is irrelevant. If you're a cashier, like, if you're 5'4", you're a cashier. Is being 6'1" really gonna make any difference? Come on, you know. When we were 6 feet tall back in 100-gallon days. What is she? Actually, no, we really weren't. Which is interesting. Which is, I'll tell you, I don't know. This is a bit more conspiratorial. But one of the interesting thing is, archaeologists have found gigantic human bones and whatnot. Which is even more interesting when you think about the ancient stories of like giants and titans. But that goes beyond the scope of this video. It's materially appealing. I'm responding to you, Zoranx. Zoranx, is that? I don't know. This is something I heard in regards to Bill Gates saying in a video regarding population control. Have more people join the middle class and they reproduce less. Unfortunate, huh? Alright, Shaman King. The top percentage of men aren't the type to settle down until they're much older. They're always busy because they always have to be working on something. I mean, even after they get older, they're still probably going to be busy. They're probably going to be more busy. You don't really like hit retirement ability until you're like usually like 60 or so. But like in general, like again, like being in top percentage of any, yeah, of course they're going to be workaholics. They're going to be men who are working hard. Usually, like to get into the sweet spot of finding a dude that somehow is able to make lots of money and is able to like have lots of time to like date around and just exist. Oh, did I get? No, I think I disconnected for a second. Let me see. Okay, we're good. We're back. Okay, we're back. It disconnected for a second. I'm really glad to make it to a stream you're running, Zers. Loving the date. Oh, yeah. Thank you, Dr. Anthony. Glad you're here. Cockholm syndrome. Yeah, you saw that tag, didn't you? Yeah, Shaman King. I don't know how to pronounce his name. I don't know how to pronounce half your guys' names, I'll be honest with you. I'm trying to respond to you guys and I don't know what to say. Leaving this here for the great content. Ah, thanks. Thanks, Sinquay. I'm so bad at it, but I appreciate you, man. Studies show that if you're tall, you live longer. I actually seen the opposite. That if you're tall, you live less. Or you live shorter. I see live less. You live a shorter life. But studies show they make more money. Check average height of CEOs. Yeah, but again, I'm not entirely... I mean, correlation doesn't equal causation. I mean, CEOs may be tall people, but I don't know necessarily if that... If one necessitates the other. You gotta think about all the tall people who aren't CEOs versus all the tall people that are. There is some height privilege statistically. Common for better paid and higher roles in companies have a tall and average height. Yeah, again, I'm aware, but I'm not entirely sure if one necessitates the other is kind of the thing. Yeah, master stroke. Yeah, if you're tall, you live a shorter life. Yeah, that's what I've seen statistically. All right, Victor. I disagree with you here. Being taller does grant benefits in the workplace, even if it's just being hired. The issue I have with leg lengthening surgery is the risk of not being able to walk. Yeah, it's absurd to even attempt. To me, in my mind, it's absurd to even attempt. It's like being tall, even if you do get certain benefits, and which I'm not saying that being tall doesn't give you certain benefits. I'm just saying being tall in and of itself, like, doesn't give you +5 intelligence. Is what I'm saying. Yeah, I think people are gonna view you as more attractive usually if you're not but at the same time, like, you can't be like a lanky, shaggy looking dude and be thought of as, okay, maybe some chick might think you're hot. Like, some weird scene girl's gonna be like, oh, that's hot. But like, general society's not gonna see a skinny, pale, sickly white dude who's like 6'4" and think he's beautiful. It's not typically, typically being tall has to be tempered with something else. You're not usually gonna, like, Patrice O'Neal, I think wasn't he like 6? I know he had to be at least 6'4", but I think Patrice O'Neal was like 6'6", and I think he might be a good example of this. Like, he's really tall, but how many people think that, like, how many women are really gonna look at Patrice and think that he's a sex bomb? Let's just just keep it a stack. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not typically how you are attractive as a young man. You're not gonna be overweight and tall and women are still gonna love you. It's a combination. You got to be tall and you gotta be muscular, you know. And a lot of dudes compensate for not being tall by becoming muscular, and women oftentimes prefer that more than just some skinny, lanky dude, you know. So it's just from what I've seen. Height privilege is a thing until you start feeling how poorly you handle your body in your younger years. I'm sure some people have worse knee pain than I do. Yeah. Now you know if your position you can play tall, skinny, pale, literacy days, or maybe in like Twitch streaming. But again, but here's the thing: like you can find like probably like a tall, sickly Twitch streamer who can get like a hot e-girl, but that's usually more for clout, you know. That's usually more because like he's got money and he's got clout. It's not you as a man being tall and pale and skinny is hot, right? It's like there's something else there to like add to you. Like again, like maybe some scene chick in high school will be fine with that, but like generally that's not the standard of being an attractive male generally. Everyone in the heavyweights like 5'11" or taller, being over 200 pounds. Any less of that height and you'll feel really bad and sluggish. No, I don't. I'm like 174. I don't feel sluggish. Maybe I'm special. Well, you said heavyweights, so like, yeah, they have a lot of muscle. They're usually really big people. You know what I'm saying? We're talking about heavyweights. If you're short somewhat, you gotta better max out in the other areas. Yeah, you compensate. Yeah, you compensate. It's just what men do. Many studies show taller. Yeah, so many studies show taller equals more money. Yeah, but again, I don't think what I'm saying is while that might be true, I don't think the correlation is I'm taller, therefore I'll make more money. There's probably more to it than that. I don't think being tall necessitates that you'll just get more out of life just for existing. There's got to be something more to it. If you mean aesthetically beautiful in basic terms, then sure, but you still only attract a certain type of woman that needs to repeat that event in her whole life to get that guy and then move. So win-win. Okay. All right, I'm gonna keep reading. I'm gonna move on. I'm really tired of being pressured to walk on eggshells when talking about the type of men we prefer. Least we offend a man. Like we gotta pretend we entertain everybody that walks up to us, whether he's short, broke, old, ugly, for the sake of fairness. Like F that. This is absurd. This is just not true. Women regularly reject males, even for the frivolous and silliest of reasons. There's no expectation at all. I don't know what society she's living in, but it's not America, because there's no expectation at all for women to entertain short, broke, old, ugly guys. Can you pay my telephone bills? Can you pay my automobiles? Like, I don't think you do. So you and me are through. Come on. What is that? A scrub is a guy who can't get no love from me, hanging out the passenger side of his best friend's drive, trying to holler at me. Come on, dude. What are you talking about, man? That's not true. That's just not true. Nobody in the world has this expectation. Look at that whole catcalling video. 10 hours of walking through New York as a woman. You know, the whole Holla Back campaign. There's like no expectation at all that women have to entertain everybody that talks to them. Like, not at all. That's just not true. That's silly. That's the silliest thing I think I've seen this whole live stream. All right, and one more tab being closed, guys. Got one more tab being closed. So now we're gonna experience this one together. I didn't read this one when I first started. Yeah, honestly, I read the first sentence of that, and I don't know if I want to continue. But I think we're gonna power through. Hopefully YouTube does not get me in trouble. What I am attracted to and what turns me on has completely changed, and I am here for it. Now, the reason why I like this title, right? Because what a lot of young ladies like to do, and my extension, a lot of young men sometimes. Well, I don't really see this with young men a lot as much as I see it with women. But like a lot of women are very static in what they're attracted to, and to me, it's a little bizarre to be so static in what you are attracted to. It's to me, I find beauty in a lot of different types of women. I really do. From tall women to short women to women with curly hair, women with straight hair, blonde, brunette, beautiful black raven hair. It's just, to me, it's just, there's so many different ways to be attractive as a woman. It's just, to me, it's just weird to only ever try to date one type of girl, or only be attracted to one type of woman. Even if the woman is a little overweight, you know what I mean? Like I some of them are still just very attractive to me. I just don't understand it. There's a lot of ladies, they're, like I say, they're static. It's if they like men that are football players, that's it. If they like dudes that smoke weed every day, and when they like drug dealers, that's it. If they just, whatever it is that they like, they just stuck on that, and it's a weird thing to me. I don't really get it. So I thought it was interesting to read how this woman kind of changed over time. Which is why I picked this one. But the first line is, "Oof, oof, oof. I was groomed at the age of 15 by an abusive and sadistic 32-year-old. I honestly, I'm more interested in this story than anything else." Than anything else she has to say. I'm like, how did that happen? Like you ever watch a movie and they say something more and just one point is just a little bit better than everything else. Like one of the funniest examples, probably a lot of people probably. I'm not even gonna bring up Twilight. Let's just keep moving on. My whole life was filled with bad relationships with both low-value scrotes and narcissists. Last year, I found female dating strategies and left an abusive marriage, filed for divorce, and filed for a restraining order. Leaving a narcissist is not pretty. I mean, again, the problem I kind of have here, and this might be a little bit of victim blaming, but it's like, how do you even get into a relationship like this to begin with after so many bad ones? If you say your whole life, first of all, how did a 32-year-old have access to a 15-year-old? So I imagine, I'm really trying to break this one down, because this is kind of the start of it, right? It's like, how did he even have access to this girl? Was this like at school or something? Was it like a teacher, maybe? Maybe a family friend? Something had to have happened here, But I think the thing is, the truth of the matter is, being abused in such a manner. Well, here's the thing. She said she was groomed. So, like, the idea was that, like, there had to have been some period of time, I mean, because that's how pedophiles work. Pedophiles, they, I guess for him, it's not technically pedophilia. But the idea of going for someone so much younger is there's like a trail, or like there's like some type of like bargaining that's being made, between the two. It's just, to me, it's interesting that women, the reason why I find it interesting is that, I have been rejected by women for so much less. I find it bizarre that any woman can get into such a bad relationship. Because in my experience, if I mess up one time, that's it, bro. Done. There's no go past go. There's no collect $200. It's game, set, match. If I say the wrong thing, if I do the wrong thing, if I'm a little insensitive at some point, or if I don't understand. There have been times where I've had women not want to talk to me because I asked them a bunch of questions, right? And it's not, and they were like, well, you're just always like quizzing me, and you're always just like interviewing me. And I've just replied, well, that's because you don't really talk to me. It's like, I don't know how else to continue a communication with you, because you don't, like, if I make a statement, you just stop talking. It's like, and I guess, and to be fair, in those types of situations, like, clearly the woman isn't interested anymore, but like, or probably was never interested, but like, at the same time, just for so much less I've been rejected is kind of the thing. So to me, whenever I see someone is like, I was in an abusive marriage with a narcissist, I'm like how even I walk on a tightrope when I talk to women. I am on a tightrope. I'm playing Crash Bandicoot. For anyone who's ever played Crash Bandicoot, like guys, people in the chat, have you guys played Crash Bandicoot? Because that is me trying to talk to a woman, bro. It's like Crash Bandicoot, man. Shoot. So like, all right, I'm gonna read some of these comments. Hey, we got 31 copers in the chat. I would hope you guys are coping. I want you guys to cope. I want you guys to deal with harsh realities and find a solution and become better. You should be coping. You must really like Destiny's Child. No, I actually really, it's not even so much I really like Destiny's Child as much as that, like, as a young man, that message was beaten into my head because they just played those songs on repeat. I haven't heard those full songs in years, honestly, you know. But like, it's just that was kind of the message I was getting as a young man about like how women relate. It kind of sucks. It's a little nasty if you really think about it, but no one does. Hey yo, Zerst, no real comment except that I'm nothing special, not even tall, and I've done all right in my sort of short dating life. Yeah, no, of course. I had a good friend of mine growing up in high school. And girls loved him because he like I said, he compensated. So he worked out a lot. You know, he honestly, he's just a handsome guy. Like, I'm just gonna be honest. He is. He looked like Taylor Lautner. He legit, and he looked like Taylor Lautner during the Twilight craze. You can only imagine. You can only imagine. You know what I mean? And you know the interesting thing about my best good friend. You know, I love him to death, you know, and so it always kind of broke my heart how insecure he really was. He was a very insecure person, and to me, I'm like, fam, I don't, bro, you look like Taylor Lautner, bro. Like, bro, you're super muscular, bro. You're super strong. I don't know, like, fam, like, all the ladies like you, but him being short, that hurt his. But you know, there's something else that happened to him too when he was younger. It wasn't just all by itself, you know. I'm not gonna get too much into detail, but he, again, like I said, I love him. He's one of my best friends. So in my mind, I'm like, you know, you're short, but like, you know, you're still great. I still love you, you know. So, you know, I don't know. Yeah, being short, it's not as much as a hindrance as you think it is. You know, you just gotta quote unquote compensate for it. But you don't need to be tall to be six. First of all, let's just be frank. Let's just be realistic. Short people exist. That means they reproduce. Game, set, match. There you go. There you go. Went to college and graduated in school in the Midwest, but now I live in a metro. Oh, you're not talking. You're talking to someone else. All right. Women want to be the boss, then blame you when things go wrong or she loses attraction. Yeah, unfortunately. She likely wasn't, as in she probably doesn't know what grooming is. I don't know. I want to know her story. Bree, she seems to be the equivalent version of a red pill rage man, wanting or feeling entitled to a certain beauty standard when they themselves are not on that level. Yeah, you're probably referring to the last lady we were talking about. She's upset because the type of guy she wants is not even looking in her direction. Seems to be projection to me. Yeah, probably. Yeah, that's a lot of it. A lot of it is they don't get the men that they want, so everyone sucks. Which isn't, to me, it just kind of isn't the same problem. Because oftentimes the men that they want aren't it's not He-Man, you know. It's not like this virtuous person who's just doing the best they can with what they have. You know what I'm saying? It's not like it's not like they're not going after just, you know, the best of us. It's oftentimes more materialistically based. Being around females today is like pulling on a pin in a grate and hoping it's a dud. Yeah, it's a little bit like that. It does feel a little bit like that. So that's why, to me, it's a bit bizarre. On the one hand, I can logically understand that a relationship partner doesn't typically start off as being a horrible person. It doesn't typically start off as being someone that's terrible and bad, and that over time, after they become comfortable or after they isolate you, And it's usually like a slow process of isolation, and it usually starts off with being a very perfect and good person, or making the woman believe you're so. Like, the thing is, I understand the evil pretty well, like I really do, but at the same time, you have to. The thing about evil, and I know this sounds silly, but the thing about evil is you always have to invite it in. It doesn't normally just kind of come out of nowhere. It doesn't normally just. In fact, Let the Right One In is probably a really good movie about the nature of the corrupting nature of being evil. Which they remade that movie into just Let Me In. I think it was what's her name? What's that woman's name? Chloe Grace Moretz was in it. You guys should look up those movies. Let Me In or Let the Right One In, or maybe Let Me In. I don't know. It's a movie about a vampire child. It's a really good and a very interesting kind of case of like of how evil comes in. How evil comes into your life. And to me, again, I understand all this stuff logically, but always being on a hairline trigger with women, it makes it very, very hard for me personally to really accept that, like, at no point you couldn't have rejected or left them. Because, like I said, I've been rejected and mistreated for so much less. For so much less. For so much less. I mean, so maybe that's just me personally. I have to get over that. Because I was never in a normal and loving relationship, I always had this looming guilt about what turned me on. By the way, this is hold on, guys. Let me just say, by the way, this is a perfectly good example as to why women need fathers. Just straight up. She very clearly did not have a father in her life if a 32-year-old man was able to come into it and like date her. She very clearly, at least if she didn't have a strong father, as in like a father that was present in her life and talked to her and gave her wisdom and protected her, she didn't have that. It's very obvious she didn't, because he would have been a barrier in between this just to begin with. Honestly, this is like, hey, this is why I need my dad in my life. To protect me from evil men, like legitimately, to protect me from evil men, like legitimately. Come on, because I was never in a normal and loving relationship, I've always had this loop. I read that. I used to like rough intercourse, and being used turned me on. I don't want to get into the details now because it disgusts me. And of course, a lot of people, they take the pain and the anger and the frustration and they convert it. Like the problem is, what happens is it's just a psychological association. Because she was being treated poorly during sexual intercourse and it felt good, the psychological association it's just a clear straight line. It's not rocket science. It's obvious that when you mix a relationship with sexual intercourse, when you mix the rough, nasty behavior with the pleasure, your mind creates a psychological association, and that psychological association becomes physiological. So you start getting, sexually turned on by being mistreated because you were mistreated while you were having sex. Just point blank. It's not it's not really, that complex, of a concept, but the unfortunate part is the fact that, like, I mean, this is her only experience. Again, she had no good males in her life. I'm going to be honest with you. I wanted to share some things that have helped me immensely. Weekly therapy sessions. I cut off porn completely. I cut off people who didn't treat me like I wanted to be treated. I stopped being a people pleaser. I started treating myself like a queen. I stopped letting others get away with mistreating me. And now the queen of banter and putting people back in their place. Now I'm now the queen of banter and putting people. Funny side note, I have a big family, and I used to be scared of telling others the truth. I used to tiptoe around everyone's feelings, but now I'm a no BS person that will always tell it like it is. This is quite an interesting radical change that is a little strange to have happened, I guess, over the course of a year. This is a little weird. Like the thing is the pendulum just kind of shifted. Which I guess usually happens to a lot of people, is they just try to turn into the opposite of what they used to be to kind of make up for lost time, or to kind of try to overcome their trauma. But at the same time, it's a little bit much, I would feel. Um, I had to undo a lot of damage, and it's not been easy at all. But I noticed that the better I treat my body, soul, and mind, the more I invest in myself, the less shit I take from others. I have finally reached the point where what used to turn me on 2 years ago disgusts me now so much that I want to vomit. I used to be attracted to cocky guys that have an ugly, smug look plastered on their scrote face 24/7. I thought it was fun to take on a project and be the one that changes them. There you go. There you go. A lot of young ladies are caught with this desire of trying to feel special. A lot of women, they want to feel special. And that's kind of one of the biggest reasons why they try to do this nonsense. Like this is why nice guys finish last, because women are always trying to here's the thing. What men do with video games, women do with relationships. Whereas like men try to be challenged and like overcome something that's fun, women do like in real life with like actual men in their lives who are a terrible person. Like you know how you play video games because you want to alleviate boredom, or you want to feel something, or you want to accomplish something, without real consequence. Like young ladies don't really do that a lot. I've noticed they take their relationships and they do that with it, rather than the opposite. It's dangerous, I guess you can say. Not anymore. I can now spot them from a mile away. Well, you could spot them before. They weren't hiding. This is the thing. Like they weren't hiding. They weren't pretending. Like they weren't. This is what you wanted. You probably can. You were able to spot them a mile away from the beginning. Nothing's changed in such regard. I'm happy because I used to be this shy girl and attribute my people-pleasing tendencies to my personality, like it was something that was permanent. After going through the handbook and reading the list, therapy, and letting female dating strategies seep into the rest of my life, it is a total game changer. Looking back, I feel like I was in shackles, a slave to some other incel fantasies. What turns me on now is someone that actually makes me feel pleasure and feel good about myself, which makes so much logical sense. Well, yeah. Yeah, a little bit obvious. This isn't really what I thought it was going to be. I was hoping there was a little bit more of a process, but she kind of streamlined it. I think kind of the thing that kind of gets me though is the fact that like there's still not much virtue here. I feel there's still, I don't think she's kind of made the complete recovery to like really care too much about character, because at the same time, if you go back, she's like, what turns me on is someone that actually makes me feel pleasure and feel good about myself. So like she's basically, again, the pendulum's kind of shifted. And now she's more inverse. She's more all about herself. She's more selfish, but at the same time, you can't have a relationship like that. You can't have a relationship where you're the one being mistreated and giving too much and whatnot. But you also have to understand and kind of recognize that you are still there to help the other person out. It's kind of a push and pull. It's like, I give you this, you give me that. I don't think her path to recovery should have been such a shift. I think what she needed to do was kind of recognize, that there's evil characters in people, and that it's not her responsibility to try to change them because it makes her feel good about herself. I say not even her responsibility. The point was like she wanted to feel good about herself by changing them. What she should seek is virtue. What she should seek is the good, and trying to find good in people and trying to foster relationships with them, rather than she's trying to find people again to make her feel better about herself. Because at the same time, the problem is, at the end of the day, like she is still kind of the same. Because even with the bad marriage, even with all that stuff, this is still a case of seeking validation from people, or seeking validations from men. It's the same thing. It's just working in reverse. Whereas originally you wanted to be special by changing the awful person into someone, I guess, good, or whatever the end goal is. I'm not even entirely sure if the young ladies have an end goal, or they have like a state where they are successful, if they even think that far ahead, number one. But like and trying to be special from that regard, now you're trying to feel pleasure and to feel good about yourself from a different regard, more from positive affirmation, more from positive compliments. But at the end of the day, it's still you seeking validation from other people. So on the one hand, it is good that she doesn't like being mistreated anymore, and it is good she stands up for herself more. but I do feel like it needs to be tempered with kindness. Like it's not good to be like, I'm a no BS person and all you do is just insult people. You just tell them to shut up, or or you just mistreat them. That's not good. You tell people the truth, but you have to tell people the truth, in a way that's going to reach them. Sure, sometimes you have to be blunt and be like, nah, it doesn't work this way. But other times you have to be soft and reasonable and kind. And I'm not sure if this person has reached that there. At least not based on this. You know what I'm saying? At least not based on this. So, on the one hand, the pendulum, I feel kind of, like I said, it's a pendulum. It always swings to the other side. But maybe eventually it'll get stuck on the middle. And she'll be tempered by being a reasonable person. Who knows? But I just think one of the reasons I'm really glad I got this, because I'm actually doing this one fresh. I actually had no idea this is what we're gonna get into. So I think it's still pretty good to include this here, because it goes to show that even if you move on to wanting the compliments and the positivity, if you're still doing it for validation, you're still gonna get what you got. So you have to validate yourself. You have to always validate yourself first, and understand that, honestly, you're in a relationship for the other person's sake. And the other person, guess what, is in a relationship for your sake. So basically what you should have is two people working for each other, rather than one person trying to do something for the other person. Like one person trying to win the other individual over, what you normally have with the young males, and in this case, well, actually, it's not even just you normally have that with young males. Women are doing the same thing as far as trying to work them, like trying to overcome something or trying to earn the favor of somebody that honestly doesn't really even like them, But hopefully you guys got something out that rant. All right, I'll disconnect it now for a second. Now you guys are over here. I just hate how many tomboys become female to male and struggle with their own feelings for wanting men on a casual basis because they feel like they can't even have relationships, so why try? Yeah, you guys are having your own conversation about transgender people. You guys are talking about tomboys now? Oof. That varies. Some tomboys are, gee, I'm a gamer girl. Others do have genuine interest, and some things appreciate marriage. When did this conversation start? Normie tomboy is typically wholesome and kind. There it is. That's where it started. Normie women would mistreat men, whereas tomboys are typically wholesome and kind. Sometimes. Yeah, sometimes. In my experience, females who are tomboys are the type to take advantage of your gentleness towards them. They will push the limit and try to get you to fight them when there's an altercation. Women find men they want to change and are surprised when they don't. Men find women as they are and surprised when they change. Well, yeah, the reason why is because what a lot of well, I don't know. From the woman, they want to be special by being the only person that's treated well or kind by an awful human being. Which honestly, if you are, then yeah, you would be special. But I think a lot of women, they don't have the wisdom to kind of temper that feeling, Like a lot of ladies make decisions based on how they feel in spite of how they feel, Tomboy, yay or nay? Mostly yay. I mean, it's a girl that's kind of interested in typically male stuff. It'd be fun to talk to, I feel. I don't, if she's into video games and, reading manga and talking about books and stuff like that, she's still a woman. Right? Reading female dating strategies makes my brain hurt. Yeah, it'll do that. It'll do that. Said, man, you guys are really talking about these tomboys, eh? Talking about tomboys, eh? Alright, guys, let's continue. Remember, ladies, it's not misogyny if it makes your pee-pee hard. Can't believe I am an anti-misogyny. I can't believe I'm an anti-misogyny. Sub people are still spewing this BS. What is she talking about? Well, I guess we'll just have to we'll have to dive deep, man. We gotta dive deep. All right, guys. I'm doing this fresh. I'm doing this with you. All right. So we're gonna go through this together. Let me see. You guys are still talking about tomboys. My crush is a tomboy, but she has embraced her feminine a little too well. I really should just be more strong for myself and just not be appealing in that sense. I don't know. I don't know if I understand what you're saying here. JBP said that women want to find a beast to tame but reject a mild-mannered man because it's the Superman Clark Kent phenomenon. I don't know. Superman isn't a beast that needs to be contained, though. I don't know if that... I don't think that works. Superman is the ultimate good. Like, the thing about Clark Kent, you know, or the disguise that is... well, I wouldn't even call it a disguise. I think Clark Kent really is just who Superman is. It's just a part of who Superman is. But, like the thing about... Like, the interesting thing is, like, Superman and Clark Kent, honestly, aren't really two different people in the same way Batman and Bruce Wayne would be. You know, I think a lot of people kind of get that mixed up. Like having the most interesting thing about Superman actually is that Superman is actually not far removed from who he really is as Clark Kent. Like Clark Kent is still a kind, mild-mannered man who's trying to do what's right and help people. He still does that even when he becomes Superman. You know, like they're not far removed. One is just invulnerable and does the best he can to protect people. Clark Kent does the same thing, though. So it's like, I don't know. I think the thing is, Clark Kent is meek and very humble. So the thing about Superman, right? And this is kind of what makes the antagonism between Lex Luthor and Superman such a thing. Because a lot of people are actually more like Lex Luthor than they are like Superman. And so far as no one would suspect that Clark Kent is Superman because he's so humble, because he's so kind, because he's so bumbling sometimes, or he's so meek. You would think that the man who is the most powerful in all of the earth, the man who protects everyone, would probably want the spotlight more. You would think more of someone like Lex Luthor. And that's why Luthor hates Superman. Because Luthor can't understand how is someone who is so powerful and great, so beyond my riches, so beyond my technology, how can you be so good? You can't be that good. You can't be. And that's what a lot of people don't grasp about Superman. That Superman is just that good. I'm sorry about ranting about Superman. But sorry about that. Zerto no supports tomboys. Yeah, man, tomboys are. Yeah, I mean they're just people. You know, they're just people. You know, the thing that what I'm mostly concerned about when it comes to young ladies, when I am mostly concerned about is kind of like how well of a mom you're gonna be. It's like I'm mostly kind of concerned about that. Honestly, if a woman is in the Dawson's Creek, I'll talk to her about Dawson's Creek. I have no. If a woman is into The Bachelor, if a woman is into like Twilight, I'll talk about Twilight. I have no issue. You know, I'll talk to a woman about anything she's interested in. Even if it's makeup, even if it's nails. If I like the person, you know, I'm not like this stickler for like common traits and stuff, because I don't even, to me it's a bit unreasonable to even expect a woman to kind of feel the way I feel about certain stuff. Like, to me, I feel like it's a little unreasonable to be like, yo, as a young lady, did you like think critically and introspectively about the Lord of the Rings? Like, what does the One Ring represent? Like, what does Sauron look like? Like, I'm not gonna ask, like, I'm not gonna ask a woman about that kind of stuff. Like, you know, like, under normal circumstances, like, my ex-girlfriend was actually into the Lord of the Rings, actually. So, like, you can find them, but my ex-girlfriend was a tomboy, actually. Now that I think, yeah, she was a tomboy. Now that I think about it, so maybe she's a bad example. Or maybe she's a good example. I don't know. Like, the thing is, it's, to me, it's character. Like, being interested in stuff, ultimately, it doesn't matter to me as much as character does. I'll talk to a woman about anything. We don't have to like the same stuff. I feel like a lot of people kind of get caught on that, where they're just like, we have to have similar interests, and it makes talking about things easier, certainly. It's easier to talk to somebody that's interested in One Piece than to talk to someone that's interested in Degrassi, or like, you know, whatever stuff, you know, young ladies like to watch. I don't really know. But at the same time, ultimately, if you like the person, you know, you're gonna talk to them about anything. You're just gonna enjoy talking about them about anything. You know. So let us continue. Because I'm curious. I'm really curious. We're gonna go through this. We're gonna go through this together. So it's not safe for work. Let's hopefully. Women are things in an adult community, 18 plus. Women here should refer to themselves as it. Men should refer to women as it. Ladies, if a man gives you a new nickname, use that instead. The moderation team reserves the right to make changes to the rules here. They will be added to this post. This is interesting. Where is this coming from? Women are things, objects. They should be enjoyed, used, and they should enjoy this treatment without expecting anything in return. Women should not have an identity. They are not I, me, or we. Women are it, plain and simple. So this must be like some kind of like misogyny post subreddit or something. Kink shaming is my... What the fuck am I reading? I get that this is a complex subject, but no kink shaming. That means no shaming of people who partake in these kinks. We can discuss it. We can discuss if specific kinks are rooted in misogyny, but we won't allow people to shame the people who partake in these kinks. That's funny. Kink shaming is my kink. Sorry if it's not apparent from the screenshots. Can you clarify this community of R something? I don't know. He has made it clear that it is a kink sub and not a misogyny sub. Not interested in kink shaming, of course, but misogyny shaming is totally our bag. And I'm just a bit confused. Thanks for any clarification you can provide. I think this is actually probably one of the good examples of like how much of an Ouroboros kinks are. Like how much just kind of how it just eats itself. Because it's like you do understand that like if the quote unquote kink is misogyny, like is being hated as a woman and being mistreated as a woman, then you could not shame that. Like it's one and the same. And they're not opposite. That is the thing that they're attracted to, which I don't think is a particularly good thing. I'll be honest with you guys. I don't think it's particularly good to treat women in this manner. I actually kind of agree with female dating strategies. I don't think you should be. But at the same time, if the women are going to that sub because they want to be treated that way, then you can't stop them. You would have to ask why do they want to be mistreated, and then try to figure it out from there. But I don't know. Like I say, I think this is kind of to me this is an example of just like the Ouroboros of like the sexual revolution and like trying to be so sexually free. It's like you kind of have to accept that. Those are the unspoken rules. I didn't make it this way. Why is kink always synonymous with something super messed up and abnormal that I get off on it, but want to talk about it in public spaces, so I hide behind an inappropriate... I don't know. Kink isn't always... in its nature, it's something that is not associated with sex, that it still sexually activates you. Just kind of the principal point of a sexual kink. It's not supposed to, but it does. Let's move on. Okay. It's 2021. Why is it still on women mostly to take birth control? 79% of men think it should be a shared responsibility. It's misogynistic that we have to carry the burden as women. Now, this is a good example of what I mean when I say the spirit of feminism is still inside of them. Like, for as much as they talk about how they don't like, the radical feminist or the liberal feminist, I guess, what are you, a conservative? You're just not even conservative. It's not even the opposite. It's kind of its own thing, but it's still the spirit. Feminism is still inside of them. It's like the reason why it's your responsibility is because you have the power. You have the ultimate power of like life and death. You can choose to kill your child or abandon your child with impunity. Like you can literally give birth to your child and then just leave it at a fire station, and then that's just that. You can get an abortion. You don't even have to go through birth. You just get rid of it. Like, the reason why it's your responsibility is because you have all the power. You can't share. Here's the problem. You cannot say that contraceptive is a shared responsibility between men and women when women have the ultimate authority on life and death, on killing a child. You just can't, because it's not equal. It's not an equal power. So it can't be an equal responsibility. It just, functionally, it's not even fair. You tell young men, men have to do the same thing and feel the same way. Men also have to, work in contraceptives and stuff. It's like, yeah, but men don't have pills that change their hormones and stuff like that. The best men have is a thin rubber glove that you put over your member. It's like, the best men have is, you get a vasectomy, you're just done. It's just over. If you get a vasectomy, just done. At least supposedly. I mean, some vasectomies, quote unquote, fail. I don't even know if I should say quote unquote. I mean, they just fail sometimes. But it's like, come on, dude. It's like, literally, your options as a man is, I'm going to wear this rubber glove, this thin rubber glove, so I can still feel something. Or just clip it off entirely. You're just out. You're just done. No more sperm production. No more. None. So it's like, so the problem is, like, what is men's responsibility really if the best we can do is just wear a glove or just not have children at all? It's such a huge, like, as a man, it's such to get a vasectomy is such a huge choice. I mean, it can be reversed, but I mean, like, again, it's such a process to reverse that. Whereas with our young ladies, you just stop taking birth control and your body goes back to normal. You just stop. You just stop. You want men, the best we have is a rubber glove or no children at all. Whereas now, one of the more interesting things, a lot of people don't know, I'm going to tell you guys a little secret. You guys ready for this? You guys ready for this little secret? I'll tell you guys a secret. As it turns out, and I know a lot of you guys aren't going to believe this, but as it turns out, it's actually really hard for humans to get pregnant. Now, I know we're 7 billion strong. I know. But as it turns out, it's actually a little bit of a miracle that women get pregnant at all. Because women only actually have like a 7-day window of which they can become impregnated when they're ovulating. Which you have to hit there. And again, I know it's kind of interesting at the fact that, like, these random one-night stands can produce children like that, but then you have married couples who have to try for months to get pregnant. I know it's a little bit bizarre, but I guess some women are a little more fertile than others. But it's like, if you're the person that's gonna be carrying, if you're the person that has the ultimate authority on whether or not your child gets to live or die, then I have to feel that, like, it kind of is your responsibility as a woman to protect yourself. If you even want to consider, like, that as protecting yourself, because it's like, honestly, like, reproducing is just a part of being a human. You're kind of supposed to. I guess it can be dangerous, but, like, I mean, we're in the 21st century. Like, let's be real. And we're in the 21st century. You're probably gonna be perfectly fine. Or guys have faith in this pulling method. Yeah, you can pull out, as long as you wipe off the pre-ejaculation, the lubricant, because there's sperm cells in the lubricant. But if we're gonna be honest with you, if you can get impregnated by the little sperm cells in the lubricant, then, like, it's just your destiny. I'm gonna be honest, it's just your destiny. Like, that, God wanted that child to be born. If the lubricant, if that little bit is enough, then you were meant to carry that child. Let's just be real. That was just fate. God wanted that child to be here for whatever reason, because it's not a lot. But it's to me, I do honestly feel like if the responsibility of life and death isn't shared between men and women, and women can just have the ultimate authority on, like, abortion, or the ultimate authority on what happens with a child, then like it is women's responsibility. I don't think that's hatred of women. It's just the world we built. You know, with great power, there must also come great responsibility. And we have created society, for better or for worse. You know, our society functions in a manner where women have the ultimate authority over children most of the time. You know, custody battles ultimately favor women. It's your body that's going to be impregnated. You're the one that has to have the child inside of you. You're the one that has to give birth to it. It's your job. I mean, it's just, you know, no one made it that way. Okay, God made it that way. If, you know, the Christians in the audience, I mean, the Lord made it that way. But, like, we as humans, like, the problem I have here is the fact that, like, this is you're trying to control something that honestly is kind of outside of our power as humans. Like, we're kind of reaching into an area where, like, we're trying to control just the natural biology of what we are. And there's a lot that we can do. There's a lot that we can do with technology. But with that, you know, it does come this responsibility. It does come this power. And it does become, you know, this conversation where we really have to talk about this stuff where it's like, you're trying to stop just the natural functioning process of just how we come to be. That's just how we function. And to me, it's a tough thing to legislate. It's a kind of a tough thing to really make concrete, apart from the fact that, like, it's just what we do. That's just how humans reproduce. I mean, sorry, but, like, yeah, it's your job to protect yourself. And it's like, if you don't want children with this man, you shouldn't be having sex with them. That's the litmus test right there. And which doesn't mean that you shouldn't, you know, use a condom, I guess. But, like, at the same time, it's like, again, like, if you don't want children, like, why are you participating here? You shouldn't be participating. You know, but to me, I can't call it misogyny. I think the thing that's goofy to me is believing that this is misogyny. I think another thing that's goofy to me is thinking that, like, birth control pills is, like, on the same level as a condom. Like, it's not even the equivalent. Like, you wear a glove and hope it doesn't break. That's the best we can do for men. Women have IUDs. Women have, like I say, birth control pills. Women have different shots they can take. I mean, again, there's so much we have to curtail women's ability to just do their job and have children. And the best we have for men is a glove. It's not the same. It's not a fair equivalent. It's not a reasonable equivalent. It's not the same. Like, again, like, just to drive this point home, IUDs, birth control shots. And that's just the three off the top of my head. There's actually a lot more. Men have a glove. Come on. Come on. The only way 70% of men believe birth control should be a shared responsibility is if those 70% of men believed asking a woman if she takes something and then never talking about it again is equal. I mean, I don't know. If this is a one-night stand, why should I? To be fair, the female dating strategist, I guess they agree with... Well, they actually don't agree with me here. They actually still do one-night stands, and they still do have sex without committed relationships, which to me would be bizarre, because you would think that women who are so strategic and smart wouldn't ever put themselves in such a disadvantage, in such a situation that disadvantages them, but I don't know. I'm not them. Hegel. You guys are talking about Hegel. Let me see. And Buddhism. Holy. What are you guys talking about? So the reason why they're out to sleep around is because they're hormonally inclined to do so. You think so? The call is that you think birth control is doing that? It's making them which would be very ironic. You'd think that'd be really ironic. You take birth control to avoid having sex, but it just makes you want to have sex more. Well, not to avoid pregnancy, but it just makes you want to have sex more. which would in principle try to include would increase your chances of getting pregnant. In fact, birth control can fail even if you take it correctly, and you can still get pregnant. So it's like, that would be ironic. That would be again, we're just going back to the Ouroboros. It's just, you're kind of eating your own tail on that one. So according to Google, there are at least 12 methods of birth control women have at their disposal. Yeah. Not birth control, but their natural inclinations. Oh, okay. Actually, male birth control exists, has for decades. Same, effective, reversible, non-hormonal, no scalpel. Heat-based contraceptive. Testes do not produce sperm at full body temperature. I'm pretty sure there might be some side effects to destroying your sperm by raising up your body temperature to such a degree. But that would make sense. Sperm actually cannot survive incredible amounts of heat. Actually, most microscopic organisms can't. It's interesting. You guys talking about Spain and whatnot. Just learn to stop dripping before full blast. The best birth control is responsibility. Yeah, that's true. Best birth control is abstinence, but that's no fun. I mean, it can be. You just do other stuff. You just do other stuff. It's just, you'll be all right. You'll be okay. You'll be okay. So I'm gonna read this comment and see. I'm gonna see what her essay has to say. Know exactly that what she's responding. Okay. I don't think I've ever heard of a guy paying for his girlfriend's birth control. I mean, that's just, you may have not have heard of it, but let's just be fair to the complexities of reality. But even at the same time, I mean, if a woman has her own job and her own money, why would he? Yeah, I mean, like, why would he? That's a little weird. Even going with her to appointments, why? What does he need to go there for? Oh, hey, so you guys are in a relationship, but you're not trying to have children? Fair enough. I mean, what's a doctor gonna do? Just talk to him? Like, you just talked? I don't know. Like, what is he gonna be there for? What is he? What? I guess moral support. I don't know. Wearing condoms is like putting a knife through the dick, apparently. Ooh, despite being the cheapest, easiest, and least invasive method available. See, but that's what I'm saying. It's like, this is, you understand that this is just it. Like, that's all we have. I mean, men quit the male BF studies because they experience headaches, some weight gain, and everyone admits medical standards have risen to the point where they can't accept that quality. I'm going to be honest with you. Why should they? The problem I kind of have here is, if you're a woman and you want to accept these side effects, that's kind of on you. I don't think any reasonable human would take a pill to stop them from doing a natural process if it bothers them to such a degree. Why as a male would I take male birth control when I'm not even having that much sex to begin with? So I'd have to be in a marriage. Like, here's the thing. Let's think logically here for a second. If I'm a dude and I'm able to regularly have sex, who am I regularly having sex with? So it's either some bimbos that I'm finding, or it's my wife, okay? Or maybe my girlfriend, okay? So the bimbos, I don't want to have children with the bimbos, so I'm going to risk headaches and gaining weight to have sex with random women for them to not get pregnant? I don't know. I mean, is the sex worth the headaches that I'm feeling? Do I want to randomly gain weight and just be sluggish and feel bad so I can have regular sex? Then the second question is, if I'm married, why am I not having children with my wife? That's another question. Like, if I'm married, why am I not having sex with this woman? Or why am I not having children with this woman? I'm gonna walk around, and then there's the sexless marriages that happen. So I'm just gonna have a headache for no reason. I'm just gonna gain weight for nothing. Come on. I don't know. Honestly, I think that women probably shouldn't have accepted these side effects to begin with in order for them to not get pregnant. But whatever. It's just the almighty dick is too much for them. Yet here we are with the most sexually active women taking daily artificial chemicals that alter their mind and body, sometimes really severely. Also, a guy can have fun with a few seconds with no worries in the world. I mean, yeah. Yeah, I mean, you're doing it all for Chad. You're not doing it for normal people. You're not doing it for normal men. It's kind of all for Chad. Fam, fam, you're kind of making the case against birth control. You're not really making the case for it. Um, I like if you really think if this is the case, really, I mean, like if you think that this is kind of what it reduce, and that is kind of what it does kind of come down to, because like, I mean, even if you as a woman do enjoy having sex with a person, like if you're still getting used and never talked to again, it's like you're on birth control so you don't have children so you can get used by a bunch of people. I mean, I guess that's your prerogative, but I don't know. I don't know. I don't think that it's still equivalent to say that it's men's responsibility if you just want to be used by a bunch of people, because that's ultimately what's just gonna happen. Because I mean, I guess you could be in a relationship with someone and then take birth control so you don't have children, but you can have regular sex. But again, the whole reason why you're in a relationship with someone is because you find them sexually attractive, right? Well, part of the reason, right? Like a lot of people, they don't enter relations with people they don't find sexually attractive unless there's some mental problem that they have, unless they just want, unless they want validation. So it's like the whole point you're with this person is because you find them attractive, meaning you want to have children with them, but you don't want to have children with them. Huh? What? Okay, fine. Maybe you don't want to have children with them right now, but then you can just be abstinent. You can just not have sex. You can literally do other things with the woman. And I don't mean butt stuff. I mean like read books and go to the park and talk to each other. I mean, there's just more to it, So to me, it feels like, you're doing all this stuff, you're using birth control and all this stuff when you can just avoid it. You don't have to do any of this stuff. Ultimately, you're a lot of these women who's on birth control, you're just doing it so you can have sex and not worry about having children. But like, you can just do anything else with your life. I don't see why the almighty Chad dick is enough, is reason enough. Says, look at the subreddit overlap for female dating strategies. It's very indicative of a bunch of mentally ill and lonely women. I don't know how to do that. I know there's a way to do that. I forgot how. You guys are talking about marriage now. I'm glad women have the ability to protect themselves from pregnancy as if it's a danger. Well, I guess it can be. I don't know. But what we have right now is unacceptable. Men are so petrified of being baby trapped, but keep doing a nasty raw instead of lobbying for protection options to ease their worries. I mean, or you can get married. Like, I mean, to be fair, I mean, are there some of these dudes who are like this? Yeah, they're dumb. They're really dumb. But I don't think you can just spill it out on the men. Women are suffering the consequences of poor medical care. I've had friends hospitalized, missing school, miserable, and all sorts of other charges because of DVTs, IUDs, puncturing an organ, uncontrollable weight gain, severe depression, or constant bleeding from birth control. Yeah, again, like if this is, you don't have to do any of this. Is one of the biggest problems with birth control. You don't have to do any of this stuff. You don't. Like, you can just not have sex. It's like I'm doing all this stuff so I don't have to get pregnant. Or you can just not reproduce. Or you can just not have sex. Or you can just track when you're ovulating and not have sex when you're ovulating. I mean, you don't have like you got to think about this one for a second, right? It's like you really have to think logically. Let's read this again. Women are suffering the consequences of poor medical care. I've had friends hospitalized, missing school, miserable, and all sorts of other changes because of DVTs, IUDs puncturing organs, uncontrollable weight gain, severe depression, or constant bleeding from birth control. They do all this stuff to stop 1 week of ovulation. Chat. Did you hear me, chat? Did you hear me, chat? Chat, you guys are talking about tomboys and stuff, but chat, did you hear me, chat? Like, chat, like, guys, audience members, one more time. Women are suffering the consequences of poor medical care. I've had friends hospitalized, missing school, miserable, and all sorts of other changes because of DVTs, IUDs puncturing an organ, uncontrollable weight gain, severe depression, or constant bleeding from birth control. All of that to stop 1 week of ovulation. I mean, come on, guys. Think critically, think logically. You go through all this for what? Doctors tell you, we've got no idea how this will work for you. If you almost die, call us and we'll try a different one and start over again. Your insurance doesn't cover any of this. Why are you doing it then? Because you have to ask a very important question. Why is not having children so important to you that you're willing to risk all of this when you don't have to? That's the biggest problem with this, is like pretending that like you have to do any of this stuff. It's like pretending that you have to go this far, and you don't. You just don't. You're literally taking a chemical to stop you from doing something you're supposed to be doing. Your body is supposed to be ovulating. It's just supposed to. And like, of course your body's going to react so negatively to it. You're putting in, like, of course your body is going to react badly to foreign substances and foreign technology and foreign stuff being pumped into you. Of course it is. It's like, come on, guys. Like, think critically, man. Yet women who aren't on birth control, sometimes it's just assumed the default for women over like 14. I mean, yeah, if someone assaulted you, but you weren't taking precautions, you're really at fault, aren't you? No. I mean, I know she's being sarcastic, but no. Are considered irresponsible, while men preach equal responsibilities but sneak the condom off and blame her for having ulterior motives when anything happens. Again, these aren't the same people. Like, I mean, maybe. I mean, maybe you'll find someone who's like this, who will sneak a condom off and then gaslight you. Maybe. Sure, like, that evil person might exist, but oftentimes these aren't the same person. Like, the same person that sneaks a condom off isn't going to be the same person that's like, oh, you were trying to get pregnant and trap me. I mean, unless he's dumb, and then it begs the question, why would you have sex with someone this stupid? What was so wonderful about this human being that made you think that it was good to have sex with them if they're gonna be this abhorrent of a person? Like, sometimes the characterizations of men just turn into just like this awful, like, fantasy of just some evil human, and it's like, how are you intimate with someone of this caliber? That's my question. Like, I don't understand how you could write this and be like, and like, that's just your normal experience with men. Like, it can't be. I guess maybe, okay, to be fair, she's probably over exaggerating for her point, but I don't feel like these are the same person. I don't think someone that takes the condom off is the same person that says that the woman had the ulterior motive. It would be the person that kept a condom on and then didn't flush it down the toilet, and then the woman sperm jacked him, that would say that. You know, the person that's going to sneak a condom off, it kind of seems like they don't care about what happens because they're going to abandon you anyway. Which, again, I have to ask, why are you having sex with someone of such caliber? But, you know, we should not settle for shouldering the entire burden, especially when it's so harmful to us in many ways. No, you should. When you have the ability to kill your child with impunity, I mean, game, set, match, dude. I don't know what you want. Game, set, match. If women can get abortions, game, set, match. There's nothing compelling you to keep your own child alive. There really isn't. I mean, just apart from you as a human. And then, yeah, Crumbolus asked, how the hell do you sneak a condom off? It's not that hard. If the condom's too big, like, here's the thing. If the condom's too big and you pull out, you can just slide it off, because, you know, and just throw it on the bed. Like, she's not really going to be thinking too hard about it, you would think, in the middle of it. Most of them don't, at least. I mean, if the condom's the right size, you know, it'll take a minute to, like, peel it off. So yeah, I think at that point the woman might be, but you'd have to be kind of conscious. You kind of have to be thinking about it. And I don't know, and most women aren't most women are like sexually in their own heads, so like they kind of enjoy like sex kind of in its experience, so they're not going to be thinking too critically about that. It's really not it's not the hardest thing in the world to do, but at the same time, I mean, most people, I don't think you'll encounter most men that will even, honestly. But and then sometimes the condom doesn't sneak off. Sometimes, like I said, it's just too big and it just falls off. That can happen. It just slips off. That can happen. But it's not that. It's not the most involved. Like if the woman is like, if you're like if you're doing back shots, you know what I'm saying, and like the woman can't see you because she's facing the opposite direction. It's not. But I would say again, you would have to have a condom that's too big so it's easy to pull off. Like during a stroke and you just slide it off. I don't know why I'm spending so much time explaining this. I guess because it was a super chat. And what we perceive as logical, women just don't. Sometimes it's like that. In college, a girl I was seeing poked a hole in one of the condoms we use. Men don't go around doing that. It's women who want to trap men, though. Yeah. I mean, that is, again, which I don't even understand why a woman would even want to trap a man in such a manner. To me, I honestly feel like if you don't like that person, or if that person doesn't like you, then leave them. Like, just leave them to their own devices. Just let them be. Let them go. But whatever, I don't know, whatever force compels them to keep this man around is kind of on them. If he lied about himself, what else did he lie about? I don't know. That's your opinion, I suppose. If he was a bastard or bitch in bed, in the end, he'll be disappointing as a man, I would say. Or reverse cowgirl, but mostly doggy. I don't know. Reverse cowgirl, she'd be on top of you. That'd be kind of a tough thing it'd be tough to sneak it off in that. Like there are certain positions where you just can't. Like missionary, reverse cowgirl, you really couldn't pull that off because she's on top of you. So logically you wouldn't really be able to do it. But there are certain sexual positions where you could like just sneak it off. I don't think that, again, I don't think it's that common, but it's possible, I feel. It's just possible. So let's move on. Men acting shocked at the mistreatment of women is low value behavior. Let's indulge. I've read a few posters who talk about their new boyfriends being shocked and surprised by their stories of abuse from other men. Sometimes something about this hasn't sat right with me, and I've just started to articulate why. I'm gonna just stop on this line right here. I think excuse me. Number one, I do find it particularly interesting that that this bothers you. And what I mean is that it's interesting that like you hear that men are shocked that you're being mistreated, and it bothers you that men are shocked at your mistreatment. Like, should they not be shocked and surprised that someone was treated badly? Should they like react with like deadpanly? Should a woman say, yeah, my boyfriend cheated on me 4 times, and then you just sit there like, oh, yeah, okay, I mean, that kind of checks out. Like, how are you supposed to respond? Like, how are you supposed to reply? If someone says, I was abused and treated poorly and I stayed for X amount of time, like, are you supposed to just shrug your shoulders and say, yeah, I mean, I agree, I certainly expected you to be mistreated, young lady. I expected that you would be treated badly. I mean, come on. Like the person, nobody should ever hear that anyone was treated poorly and react with indifference. I mean, someone probably should be surprised. if someone was treated that badly, you would also question, one, why would you stay? And I know it's like, there's a little victim blaming, but it's like, you would be like, well, why did you stay? Like, why are you still there? Like, if you were mistreated in such a manner, why are you still? And again, for me personally, like I said earlier in the live stream, I have been rejected for so much less. I have been rejected for so much less. So for me, when a woman is like, yeah, my boyfriend, used to hit me, or my boyfriend, used to call me all these bad names, I'm sitting here like, well, why didn't you just hit him with that 1-2 buckle my shoe and just leave? Because like I said, for me, I've had girls stop talking to me because my hair was nappy. I'm sitting here like, if you don't like my hair, but a motherfucker can cheat on you? Come on. You know what I'm saying? It's like, to me, again, me personally, I'm like, I've been rejected for so much less. Whenever I hear women or just get abused or get mistreated so badly, I'm like, okay, well, why didn't you just reject them? Like, again, I've been rejected for so much less. So I don't know. While women have been receiving abuse from men have been witnessing it. I mean, yeah, but like, what are you supposed to do? I remember way back when I was in high school, there was this one girl. I really liked this girl, but she didn't like me. She liked my friend, and then she dated some other guy. And this other guy actually did mistreat her. This other guy actually did hurt her. Pretty badly. He actually hit her one time, and it's like, I mean, what am I supposed to do? I guess I could have like called the police or something, but like, it already happened. It was already there, and it was like after the fact. So, I mean, honestly, it's kind of, I could tell her, yo, don't date that man, he's bad. And I have done that. There was one time, I wouldn't say recently, it's more like a year or so ago, about a year ago, when this one girl, me and this girl, we became, I guess we were friends. Well, I'll just call it, we were friends. And she was talking to me about her ex. Her ex literally stalked her. Like, he literally came up to her job. He would emotionally abuse her. And the whole tale, the whole story is one stupid mess. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. And he was just an awful person. And I remember I was talking to her one day, and she said, "Yo, me and Jackson." Which isn't his name. I'm just gonna call him Jack. Me and Jackson, we're gonna go to the movies. And I just was like, the same Jackson that like was driving on the highway at like 90 miles per hour, saying he's gonna kill himself. That same Jackson who's like, if you don't talk to me, I'm gonna kill that one. She's like, yeah, like, and I'm like, well, why? And at some point she's like, look, man, I'm not gonna let you sit here and like talk crap about my best friend. And I'm like, yo, fam, like, you've only ever told me bad things about this guy. So if there's something good about him, by all means, tell me, because you've only ever said something bad. And she says, well, you know what? I don't have to prove myself. I don't have to defend myself to you. And I'm like, fam, listen, like, I was just, and to me, I'm just being logical. I'm like, fam, you only ever told me bad stuff. I don't know what's good about him. You only ever told me the bad. And then she honestly stopped talking to me. Like, and this girl, again, this man stalked her. This man mistreated her. And this man emotionally abused her. This man said he's going to kill himself, just trying to strong arm her. And she wanted to go back to that. I'm like, fam, I mean, what are we supposed to do? She stopped talking to me, because the messed up part about that particular, I didn't even tell her to not talk to him. What I said was, tell me something good. I didn't even tell her, yo, don't talk to him anymore. I was like, just explain to me why you think this is good. So it's like, I don't know. Again, when I see stuff like that, I'm like, fam, I don't know what you want. I really don't. Again, the woman stopped talking to me because I asked her a question about why she went back to the man that mistreated her. She wasn't bothered by the man mistreating her. She was bothered by me questioning her. Think about that. Like, chat. Like guys, Think about that one. You know what I'm saying? It so it's like it's not even that I'm, truth be told, I'm actually never shocked nor surprised, because I expect women to be in bad relationships with men. Which maybe that says more about me. I don't know, but to me, I just feel like a normal person that's not engrossed in the material that I make on YouTube, yeah, they probably should be. They probably should be surprised that you were treated badly, especially if they like you. If someone likes you, like, of course they're gonna be bothered that someone treated you badly. So while men to be surprised or shocked at how women are treated is showing that either the man is pretending to be woke, was born yesterday and under a rock, blatantly ignoring reality, or have been justifying men's behavior and is now acting surprised to get in your pants. Now here's one thing that kind of gets me. It's that these women always take the absolute worst possible interpretation of a man. Malcolm, the last time I did a live stream was like maybe a whole year ago. I'm going to be honest. Probably maybe a whole year ago. I mean, it's always the absolute worst interpretation of how a man is operating. It's like, maybe, not just maybe, the guy is surprised because he cares about you and he's sad that you were hurt or mistreated. Maybe. It's like, I don't even, here's the thing. Or it's just, and is now acting surprised to get in your pants. How is that surprise even going to help you as a man? Like, try to date a woman. I just don't even understand. Like I said, again, in my experience, I'm not even surprised anymore. So, I mean, initially when I was, as a younger man, it never helped me. I don't know what she's talking about. Maybe I'm just ugly. Maybe the woman just never wanted me. But to me, this isn't a fair interpretation of how men react or operate to women. You know, number one. But number two, I mean, again, it's just the worst possible interpretation of how the guy is acting. The correct response to a woman's story of mistreatment is, yes, I am aware that's really bad, and I am doing things to call out my peers and friends. Now, like I said, if you guys have been here from the beginning, or at least been here from my point, the spirit of feminism is still in these women. And this is a really good example of what I mean when I say, like, the spirit of being a feminist is still here. Like, this idea that, like, a man abusing his wife is just gonna tell his friends, and his friends are just gonna be like, yeah, man, you smack, I hope you punched her real good. What? Like, the spirit that these men who are abusing women are just out in the open, and we all are just aware and just never say anything. Are you joking? They do it behind closed doors for a reason. Are you kidding me? Like, nobody is fond, especially not in our modern day society. Nobody's fond. Nobody is particularly, like, fond of anyone being mistreated or abused in general, let alone a woman. Let alone young ladies. Are you joking? And then another thing is, it's just like, yes, like, first of all, who would even, no normal human would even respond like this. Yes, I am aware that it is really bad, and I am doing things to call out my peers and friends. Guys, do not cheat on women. Do not hit them. Do not insult them and call them bad names. That's bad. Like, no, yeah. Come on. It's not even a normal response. Like, no one would even respond like that. And again, the expectation that men constantly are protecting women, even when women aren't there, to me is a bit much. Especially because these women have, like, no love in their heart for men, and yet they expect that men are supposed to protect them, you know, from these abusers. Their men are supposed to call out these abusers, as if men cave to social pressure As if this evil man is going to be like, oh no, it's so bad to be abusive. All my friends are going to hate me for it. Oh, I should stop. That's no. If he's evil, if he wants to mistreat you, he has probably constructed an environment of which it is possible to do so. So, which means that the friends he has probably also aren't good people. The other people around him, they probably also aren't virtuous and kind. Let's just be real. So he's putting on a front. He's probably putting on a front for the people around him in normal society, so they don't suspect him as an abuser. Come on, this is absurd. Like to even have this expectation to me is just it's a little wishful, if not delusional. But while I am shocked to learn that the vast majority of men act immorally, I still have an acute awareness that abuse and mistreatment was always a possibility. First of all, I don't know. I need to talk to this woman. This is ridiculous. The vast majority of people would act immorally. And not what are women? Just like levitating above us all? They're just paladins of virtue and kindness and goodness. And it's men who are mostly mistreating them. And come on, let's come on. Like be reasonable. This isn't even like at least Christian ideals is that everyone is susceptible to sin and evil. This woman is like the vast majority of men act immorally. So women just not. So the women that find themselves in those relationships, they're not immorally. They're not acting immorally either. They're just kind, great people who just so happen to trip and fall. Like, come on, it's not reasonable. I still had an acute awareness that the mistreatment was a possibility. First of all, this sentence doesn't even make sense. If you think that the vast majority of men act immorally, then your awareness isn't acute. It would just be expected. You would just expect that that's how you're going to be treated. I don't understand. Like you're not super smart because you realize that most people are immoral, so they may abuse you. Yeah, of course they will. They're immoral. There's nothing compelling them to not. Come on. High value men have to interact with low value men. It's unavoidable. And so somehow high value men are just like these beautiful he-men, like heroes to these women, which I don't even understand honestly. But I don't know. I'll have to come back and make a video where I talk about the high value male thing, just in all of its incarnations. Because the incarnation here and the incarnation with like Kevin Samuels and the incarnation with people like Courtney Ryan, there's just no real consistency. So I'll have to make 3 different videos where I talk about that. I guess I don't know, but it's like high value men. What are they? They're like the heroes of the world. It's just Saint Seiya over here. High value men, they're just the saints of Athena, and we're just gonna beat the low. What even? It's and with the majority of men being low value, it paints a statistical picture of the high value male definitely being exposed to men's mistreatment of women, but not actually perceiving it as wrong. So we're all damned. We're all just evil then. Because that means the low-value males are the vast majority of people mistreating women and hurting them. And the men that are supposed to be your heroes and high value, they just sit there and look and just watch. Come on. In the realm of men truly witnessing the oppression of women, here we go. Don't give men a cookie and praise for doing the bare minimum. Make sure he is not fake woke and that he has real measurable values and morals and that he can talk about at length. Stay aware and always be vetting. I mean, yes. Yes. It's like I don't understand how you come to this. Yes, this is the correct conclusion, But in the realm of men truly witnessing the oppression of women, huh? Nani? Don't give men a cookie and praise for the bare minimum, huh? What? Huh? Goes. Oh, I got a super chat. Bass, why do you believe they're sob stories? What do you believe that these abuse? I said, why do I believe abusive men exist? Because I met them. It's not. I don't believe every single story. You didn't have to super chat me for that question. I would have answered it regardless. But thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. Um, but yeah, I would have answered to you regardless, my man. It's not. It's actually not so much that I don't believe them entirely. There's always a grain of salt, and unless there's some things that they say, it kind of depends. I kind of play it by ear. Um, sometimes it's obviously a lie. Sometimes it obviously isn't true. And then other times, like I said, with the one girl I was talking to, like she showed me the text messages. Like she gave me evidence. Um, the women I talk to personally, there's always receipts. There's always something, there's always a reason for me to believe it. As far as the internet is concerned, I don't always believe it wholesale. In fact, a lot of the times I don't. A lot of the times I'm like, I take it with a grain of salt. But my point is, and this is the thing that would be interesting, and this is and the reason why I take it with a grain of salt, and the reason why, I have the reactions I oftentimes have when I say, is that really reasonable, is honestly me being incredulous. And in fact, I would imagine that you guys would think that I'm not taking this very seriously every time I respond to it. Because if you've noticed, every time I respond to it, I'm like, come on, like that can't be honestly like the way you were treated. Like that can't be the full story. Like I'm always incredulous about it. Is when I read stuff on the internet, but when I talk to people personally, like people personally have nothing to gain when they like talk to me. Like when a woman talks to me in private and she tells me this stuff, it's like, she's not trying to work me over. Like she's not asking for money. Maybe she might want attention. Maybe she might want validation, but that's not often the angle they go for. I've met women who have, who definitely are just, fishing for compliments and trying to be a victim. And so, like I said, personally, if I talk to the woman personally, like I believe it. If I read on the internet, like I said, like again, like even with this perfect example, I'm sitting here like, come on, dude, like seriously. Like here's the thing, like the idea that like the majority of men is low value, which I imagine my tone would kind of reflect that I'm being incredulous. Like I'm like, this is ridiculous. Like this is silly. He goes, I can show you text message from Nikola Tesla thanking me for all the ideas. Text message does not equal evidence. I mean, sure, I guess not. I mean, to be fair, my friend Howard, like, do I need to conduct an investigation every time I talk to do I need to contact the FBI and conduct an investigation and set up cameras and go watch? I mean, it's not far-fetched to me that a woman can become abused by a man. What's kind of far-fetched to me is the fact that it would be so commonplace and just be the natural order as these ladies at female dating strategies would make it out to be. I don't think it's natural. I think it's possible, Lewis, he goes, hey bud, you ever thought about going on iHypocrite Sex War stream? No. To be answering your question, no. He's never invited me, number one. Number two, I don't really even watch it in general anyway. If the question is, would I do it? Yeah, I would. But to answer your actual question was, no, I've never considered it. I've never thought about it. Men that are abusive are the Chads. Usually, well, it's not impossible for like some kind of dweeb or dork to be abusive. I think evil exists in many different forms. I think, but pretending that like the natural order of males is to just mistreat women, it's just not true. I think it's very unreasonable. I think considering that especially with the amount of trying to appeal to women and appease them in society, and just the natural way of courting a woman is mostly giving her compliments. Like the natural order of courting women is taking her out on dates and giving her gifts. The natural order of like courting women is trying to be good, So to believe that like we exist in the natural order where like you're trying to be good and treat women well is actually, it really is just always a veneer for abusive men to find a weak victim. And even then, it wouldn't even always work, is also the thing, you know, like courting women in that manner very seldom works unless you're just an attractive dude. And honestly, if you're an attractive dude, the woman will do most of the work for you anyway. So, you know, if you're courting a woman in 2021, it usually means that she doesn't like you. So it's like, when the vast majority of trying to date women is appealing to them, I don't understand how you could walk away with the conclusion that most of these low value males just want to abuse women and hurt them. I feel like there's always got to be something else going on. There's always got to be something else going on. And here's the thing. Usually there is. If you remember when I think the post we just read before that, the girl who said she was 15 and she got groomed. It's like, come on, you know. It's like, and by the way, Howard, like, again, and I don't mean to call you out, but like, you know, just if you're still here to address you, again, like, you kind of heard in my tone of voice, like, I'm not entirely convinced that I'm really interested in how a 15-year-old managed to be groomed by a 32-year-old. Like, I'm not really entirely convinced that's what happened. So I don't always believe these stories. It's just some of them I do. It just depends. It just depends, you know, on what the woman is saying, and kind of like how plausible it would be. But if I talk to her personally, if I talk to her privately, I usually believe it. There's usually more to the conversation than just I was groomed once, you know. Usually we were able to talk. And I guess she could I guess, to be fair, she could be, any woman could be, any person you talk to could be lying, I guess. I mean, if you want to. So to me, it'd be unreasonable to believe most people are always lying. It's not how people normally operate, you know. Well, moving on. Oh wait, yeah. We're gonna move on to the next. We're going to move on to the next one. Where did my thing go? Here we go. Why does that keep happening? Here we go. Which one should I do? Should I do why does rejection still hurt? Or ruh-oh, 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 ruh-roh, ruh-roh, raggy, ruh-roh, raggy. I wonder what this is about. Let's see.
One of the most unfortunate dynamics I see with couples in my marriage therapy practice is when a wife is bringing up that she's unhappy and that she's not feeling very connected. And
pause. Can you guys hear that? Let's go in the chat. Can you guys hear that? I need confirmation that the volume's coming through. Well, I paused it, by the way, but like, could you guys hear what she said from the beginning? Oh, it's coming through? Thanks, Victor. Appreciate you, my man.
And is asking for changes, especially emotional changes, to be made in the relationship. And the husband responds, you know, at the time with like, yeah, I'll work on it, or I don't see there's a problem, or you're overreacting. We try to make some changes, but it's not quite to the level of what she's looking for, or he makes changes for a short amount of time, things get better, and then it goes back to normal and over time what happens to the dynamic between the two is eventually she starts to think nothing is going to change. So she's thinking nothing's going to change, and eventually she gets more and more hopeless about seeing or having the type of relationship that she wants, which is a deeply connected, emotionally intelligent relationship. And she brings up the D word, divorce. The thing that happens over and over that's super surprising, though, is that the husband will then say, I've been blind. blindsided by this.
Oh, if I switch the window, it pauses. Okay. Yeah, she probably would cheat. Why do you think the chat's disgusting, my friend? I saw one person say she has a big nose, which, I mean, to me is a little, I don't know, goofy. You don't need to insult a woman. But, pointing out that the guys that need it are the most being ignored by people like you. What are you guys talking about? I am so confused. I'm so confused. We greedy men run society as of now. I mean, sure, a lot of evil people do. I mean, 100%. Look at Joe Biden. Jeffrey Epstein, you know. So you guys are arguing with Bree about the dude she's dating? Where did that come from? Hold on. I'm quiet because I'm reading the chat, and I'm trying to understand what happened. Said, your tendency to split the world into good and bad is what stops you from understanding reality on its own terms. Which means what? Which means you don't think that there are people that try to be good, and you don't think that there are people that are definitely cruel and abusive and manipulative and evil. Like, I mean, like, what world do you live in where that's not the case? Like, even if someone close to you does something bad, like as a mistake or something, like, you're gonna sit here and pretend that Joe Biden has your best interest in mind? You're gonna pretend that any politician cares about you and wants your life to be better, and that they're not doing backdoor deals, or they're not trying to manipulate society? You don't think they are like false flags of, like, I mean, come on, what are you talking about? My tendency, yes, there are bad people. They're bad people in the world. They're bad people who don't care about you, that have power, that want to manipulate you and take your stuff. Are you gonna sit here and pretend that there aren't women in the world that aren't gonna try to marry men that are rich, and then, like, try to, get pregnant, or women who aren't gonna try to, like, get on alimony after they divorce, like a rich old guy? What do you mean? Yes, there are people who try to be good, and there are people who are bad, who don't care. Oh, okay, all right. I'm sorry, Lovable Cinder. Maybe he wasn't talking to me. I'm sorry. Maybe that was my bad. I thought he directed that at me, because I'm like, maybe, I don't know. I'm like, I don't know. So it's okay, man. You can call me out. My last YouTubers were all abusive fiends, but I know I can trust you. Nah, man, you don't have to super chat. Man, thank you, Howard, but you don't have to super chat me, my man. Politicians never do anything bad. But no, I wasn't like calling you out like, yo, you're bad. It's more like I was addressing you. I was trying to address you, not like you're bad, man, but like, like, what's up? Like, this comment's going towards you. All right, let's get back to this video. Let's get back over here.
I'm devastated. It's like a bomb has been dropped. And she's usually shocked, right? What are you talking about? I've been bringing this up for years. And so what I have figured out that has happened is that there are two different emotional intelligence levels that are happening between the couple. He has been thinking that these are normal marital woes, and his wife is supposed to be unhappy. Because if you think about it, our society perpetuates that message that your wife is supposed to be a little frustrated with you, is supposed to be upset at times, right? If you think of it in our language, it's everywhere. He's in the dog. And so men have been told, like, when your wife is constantly, nagging or bickering with you or things like that, like that's normal. It's something that's supposed
Well, I don't know. I guess dysfunction. We do live in the darkest timeline, so I guess dysfunction is something that is particularly oftentimes, disguised as something that's quote unquote normal.
to happen. And you're supposed to just sort of wait it out or placate her until she feels a lot better. But that's not what's happening in modern marriages. In modern marriages, women are looking for deep emotional connection, and they're asking their husbands to meet them there. And they need to learn exactly what that means.
I think my question is, why didn't she just marry that guy she put in the friend zone?
They need to increase their emotional intelligence in order to have deeply connected and satisfying marriages.
Let's go back. Let's take this from the top.
With couples in my marriage therapy practice is when a wife is bringing up that she's unhappy and that she's not feeling very connected and is asking for changes, especially emotional changes, to be made in the relationship. And the husband...
I feel like this is a little too vague to really address properly. But at the same time, I do kind of feel like whatever that person has to be doing to make you unhappy, I mean, it probably was something that should have been addressed while you were dating, which maybe it wouldn't have been revealed until you got married and you lived together. I don't know. But I do think that it's a little bizarre that women are oftentimes just so hilariously unhappy and just so miserable. And I do kind of feel like there's a little too much pressure on men, honestly, to constantly try to make women happy. Because honestly, you really can't. And that doesn't just go for women, it goes for men too. You honestly really can't force someone to be happy or make somebody happy. You can only do what you can. And I don't know. It to me, it's like if a husband is being blindsided, quote unquote, by the woman's unhappiness, then that means, I don't know, you'd have to be really just not aware. I don't know. It's odd. It's odd that you could be with someone in a relationship and the person can just be so miserable and you could just not care. You could just not do anything.
Husband responds, at the time with
I only say I say it's odd, not so much that it doesn't happen, but kind of odd that anyone would deal with it, Odd that it's so normal that people deal with it, rather.
Yeah, I'll work on it, or I don't see there's a problem, or you're overreacting.
Well, yeah, see, if he doesn't see it's a problem, then there's some kind of fundamental miscommunication between the two people. Now, I mean, of course, this video isn't made to be, I would say, fair, which may not be a good word, but it isn't really made to represent both sides of the person. There's some problem with both people, because there really would be a problem with both people here. There would be a problem with the dude if he's not seeing that there's a problem, but the woman is. As much as there's a problem with the woman who sees an issue when her husband doesn't. The question would be, where is the miscommunication? Why is it okay? Why is one person feeling fine but the other person isn't? And I don't know if just putting it down to the men's neglectful, which is what she's kind of implying here, or that the man is apathetic. I don't really think it's fair.
Only try to make some changes, but it's not quite to the level of what she's looking for.
Well, yeah, exactly. So, what the question is what she even asking for even reasonable? Is it even fair for her to ask for this man to make these changes? I don't know. I mean, I don't know. It's a little too vague, I feel. But at the same time, I do feel like I don't know if men, if the added responsibility of making women happy is something that should be expected of men.
Or he makes changes for a short amount of time, things get better, and then it goes back to normal and over time what happens to the dynamic between the two is eventually she starts to think nothing's going to change. So she's thinking nothing's going to change, and eventually she gets more and more hopeless about seeing or having the type of relationship that she wants, which is a deeply connected, emotionally intelligent relationship.
Well, how do you get married to someone and that not already be established? is my question. It's like, it's like how do you get that far is my question. Like into marriage without vetting this person, without talking to this person, without like being emotional, without having those moments of softness, those moments of tenderness. How do you get that far? And I feel like, I feel like what a huge kind of portion of it would kind of have to be is either like both person would have had to have, they would have both had to have been just sending out their representative and just pretending to be good, or just pretending to be what the person wanted, and then when they got comfortable they just stopped. And that happens a lot, actually, and in fact that's very, very common. That's how a lot of relationships operate. You know, people send out the best possible form they could be to convince you to date them, and then you date them and they just stop. They don't care no more, you know. Excuse me, I was drinking some carbonated water. Anyhow, that's how a lot of relationships operate, right? So perhaps that would be what's going on here. The man was pretending to be emotional. But I mean, I guess you could lie and pretend, but at the same time, it's like, again, how do you get that far into a marriage and you guys aren't this deeply connected and this deeply emotional, or you're not talking to each other about the way you feel, and you're not talking about your problems? Like, how do you make it that far? To me, that would present that you guys didn't get married to be a unit or a partnership. You got married for validation. And that's usually what it is. Most people don't get married because they want to be together with the person and have a great life and whatnot. You know, they do it because it makes them feel good. It makes me feel good about myself. And I feel like even still, this is still mostly just that. The woman is just trying to feel good about herself, or trying to get validation. This deeply emotionally intelligent relationship. What does that even mean? Because to me, I have no trouble telling a woman when she bothered me. In fact, I'll tell you one thing interesting. When I tell women that they bother me, they do not react very well. They don't. When I tell a woman she did something that aggravates me, they do not react very well at all. They get very mad. They get mad that I'm mad at them. It's funny. They get mad that I'm mad because they did something wrong to me. How that even work? How did it even make sense? Which isn't to say, again, now there are some ladies I've had relationships with, you know, when I say this bothers me, and they're like, all right, I won't do it anymore. I had a really good friend, you know, in high school, you know, when I told her this bothered me, she stopped. She didn't do it anymore. And same vice versa. If I did something that bothered her, I would, you know, I'd apologize and we'd move on, or we'd talk about it, you know. And that's the thing, you know, because when I think about my relationship with that girl, and we were teenagers, but we were very emotional people. We talked about the way we felt. We worked through one of the reasons why I wanted to date her was because of just how we were able to just be friends. And even when I did something wrong, she didn't just drop me. She still cared, you know, and even when she did something wrong, I didn't just drop her. You know, we still cared about each other. Like, one of the reasons why I really loved that girl that much was because we had a strong emotional relationship. When we just talked, she wasn't the prettiest girl. She wasn't the best looking girl. Not, you know, but she was able to be vulnerable, and I was able to be. We were able to be vulnerable with each other and talk, and not even just talk, but again, when we had problems, we solved them. When we bothered each other, we talked about it. We figured it out. We moved on. You know what I'm saying? To me, I'm like, how y'all motherfuckers get married and you guys don't do that?
And she brings up the D word, divorce. The thing that happens over and over that's super surprising, though, is that the husband will then say, I've been blindsided by this. I'm devastated. It's like a bomb has been dropped.
Yeah, because the woman may have made like a whole vow where she says she's not going to do that and she'll be with you forever through sickness and through health. Through the bad times. She vowed to be with you forever until you guys died. Like, yeah, I kind of understand that someone saying, hold on, I didn't mean it, would be blindsiding to you. My bad. But at the same, I guess at the same time though, I don't know. You would kind of think that that gun kind of would always be on the table. You would think in our modern society. I will say the only reason why it would be strange for any man to be blindsided is to I guess not be switched on to the way our modern society works. That's a little bizarre to me, I would say. Um I don't know how as a man in 2021 or in 2020 you couldn't expect that a woman would be ready to pull the trigger on that. I mean, I'm pretty sure 80% of divorces are always initiated by the woman anyway. If not 80%, I think it's like 70. It's somewhere 70 to 80. It's overwhelmingly women that initiate, just to be frank. Um, yeah, anyone can and should ask for what they want. Yeah, they can't expect the other person to always deliver. That's true. Negotiation, yeah, exactly, because you have to take into consideration, I'm replying to MGTOW, I'm reading the comments now, you have to take into consideration that any one person you date or have a relationship with was raised by two different people in a different environment and had different friends and absorbed different media and talked to different people and had different experiences. It's like, you have to take that and understand that this person isn't you, and this person can't read your mind, and this person is going to react to things differently, and you have to figure that out. And that is what dating should be about. Dating should be about trying to understand who this person is relative to a relationship, and who this person is as a parent, and who this person is going to be. That's what vetting the person should be for. But ultimately, it's more just about, validation and feeling good about yourself and getting stuff. That's what a lot of it is. It's how can I get stuff from this person? What the hell does she mean by emotionally connected? Like, what does that look like? To me, here's the thing. I don't know if I understand it correctly, because the way I describe it and the way women experience it seem to be different. Because to me, when I imagine being emotionally connected, I would imagine the ability to be vulnerable with the person and to have that person receive it. As in, like, if I tell you I have this issue and problem, you listen and you hear it, and then you try to help me. You try to find solutions. Or if you don't have a solution in particular, you're there to allow me to vent and talk about it and try to help me, even through my venting, figure out what the problem is. You know what I'm saying? Or figure out a solution. That's what I would imagine being emotionally connected would be, is having that ability or having that relationship where you can talk and be free, and you can be vulnerable, and you can say, hey, I'm hurting, and this person, they think to themselves, okay, well, how do I help you not hurt no more? You know what I'm saying? That's to me. I don't know if any woman would agree with me there, but in my experience, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, because I've had these relationships with women, and they just haven't felt the same. They haven't dated. They didn't want to date me, I guess. I don't know, for one reason or another. But to me, it's always been very easy for me to be like emotional with people. I've never had any trouble with it, So I don't know. Men know what a woman is trying to get. He just needs to her to say it out loud. She's not gonna twist it into being the victim. I would hope not, Someone's okay. Slick on top. The wife wants out. Her bullcrap spiel is just strategy to weasel out of the whole affair and come out the victim. Yeah, probably. That's probably what a lot of this is all. It's probably what it usually is. Oh, a lot of what that is that the marriage isn't the way she wanted it to be. So she's not happy. So she's coming up with a lot of nonsense so she can leave, which is unfortunate. At that, if women were in Congress, nobody could veto their divorce. Hazers, what about the studies that showed that birth control shrinks women's brains? This never gets talked about enough, and probably explains why some of the women's crazy behaviors nowadays. I mean, I've never seen that study. You'll send that to me on Twitter or something, or email it to me or something, because I've never seen that before. It's definitely something to look at, but I've never I didn't know. What I knew is that birth control changed their chemistry, and so birth control made women act differently. It made them mate select differently. I can tell you just that much extent of my knowledge. But as far as making their brains smaller, I don't know. I've never known about that.
And she's usually shocked, right? What are you talking about? I've been bringing this up for years. And so what
Well,
I have figured.
hold on. I got a burp because I'm drinking my soda. My water soda. I don't know why people don't call it water soda. That's kind of funny. If this has been going on for years, my man, it's like, I don't know. You would think something would have to give. Like, I don't know how you could be with someone for years and just be that damn miserable and not want it to change. Because I can't be that miserable. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can't imagine a situation where I'm just so miserable and angry with this person for years.
Out that has happened is that there are two different emotional intelligence levels that are happening between the couple. He has been thinking that these are normal marital woes and his wife is supposed to be unhappy.
Well, I don't know if anyone thinks that their wife is supposed to be unhappy, but I mean, there is certainly a trope, I would say, in pop culture where the husband usually is always kind of doing something that aggravates the woman and the woman kind of has to deal with it. I mean, like, there's a lot of that in sitcoms, but I mean, I don't know if situational comedy is really what you would look to as like the way reality should be. But I mean, yeah, sure, you might find that in like cartoons, like in adult cartoons and stuff, but at the same, like, but it's usually played as a joke. It's not played as the natural state of things where the woman is quote unquote supposed to be unhappy. I think the joke is that she's not, and that the dude is just so bumbling and aggravating that he just pisses her off. That's usually how the joke is in most of these shows. But at the same time, it's like, I don't know if the woman, no, I don't think anyone really even thinks the woman, in fact, quite the opposite, because you would hear the phrase, happy wife, happy life. And again, like I say, this is kind of incongruent with the way we court women. Like, the way we court women is trying to appeal to them and trying to appease them and trying to make them happy. Like, that's how you date them. The idea that your wife is supposed to be unhappy just kind of is incongruent with, like, how we operate and how we talk to women and deal with them.
Because if you think about it, our society perpetuates that message that your wife is supposed to be a little frustrated with you, is supposed to be upset at times, right? If you think of it in our language, it's everywhere. He's in the dog, and
yeah, but I mean, it's like, but my question would be why. I think there's something a little bit. I think there's a little bit more than just that message might be out there, because you can. I do understand what she's saying. I do understand how she could come to that conclusion, because you'll find it, I've even seen this like on TikTok, you could say, but you'd find in pop culture, this idea of like the woman being frustrated with the man or being aggravated or being annoyed. Like, that's certainly true, but my question would be like, why is it such a, I mean, but then the question is, why are relationships such a tumultuous thing to begin with? Is like, we shouldn't be, first of all, in my honest opinion, if I'm in a relationship with someone, I honestly feel like you should be the peaceful element to my life, right? Because, like, if I have to deal with everything else in the world, I gotta go to work, I gotta deal with, some customer who did something, or some bad business deal, or some awful YouTube comment, or something like that. If I gotta deal with the frustrations of the world, why should I come home to you being miserable and angry and mean to me? You know what I'm saying? Like, and this is both sides. Like, even as a man, like to a woman, a woman comes home. Why is the relationship so tumultuous? Why is the relationship filled with so much dread and sadness? It's like, no. If I'm with you, my job should be trying to make your life better as much as I can. And your job should be trying to make my life better as much as you can. Like, we should be working together to help each other out. Like, we should be helping, like, I'm going to help you, you're going to help me, kind of thing. So to me, it's like, okay, how do we even get here where it's so one-sided? if you're helping me and I'm helping you? I mean, to me, I don't know. I don't know. Wife made up her mind about leaving him. She just made a long and drawn out process in order to tire the guy out and agree to a divorce. Maybe. That definitely happens. Definitely. By the way, she's not. This isn't a specific thing she's talking about. This is a general thing she's referring to. It also makes them less able to figure out people's emotions. I believe Aiden Paladins. Maybe she did. I'll have to go look it up. I don't know who you're talking to though. It's not that men think that their wives should be unhappy. It's more so that women have an ever-changing idea of what happiness should be. Yep. 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 Women want a challenge, trust me. They want to make relationships more difficult than they should be due to movies and such. Yeah, like I was saying earlier, I feel like a lot of women do to relationships what men do with video games. I think the problem is just that it's just real world consequences when you play with your relationships in such a manner.
So men have been told, like, when your wife is constantly, nagging or bickering with you or things like that, like, that's normal. It's something that's supposed to happen, and you're supposed to just sort of wait it out or placate her until she feels a lot better. But that's not what's happening in modern marriages. In modern marriages, women are looking for deep emotional connection, and they're asking their husbands to meet them there. And they need to learn exactly what that means. They need to increase their emotion.
Well, you say that, but like, you don't explain it. Maybe she does. I don't know. Maybe she does. Maybe. But you say men need to learn, but then you don't ever teach them. So then, how can they get better? I'm reminded of Gangster's Paradise. I don't know if you guys would get that reference, but who knows? Lewis Joyston. Maybe it's Johnston. I don't know. But Lewis, my man, he says, couldn't many of the small frictions in relationships be attributed to sex differences and bonding strategies? Maybe. I don't know if it would even necessarily be sex differences, but because like I said earlier, you have to take into consideration that anybody you meet has a different experience in life. In fact, my sisters and I were raised by the same two people in the same house, but we are all different people. If siblings can be so different, it's like you can't really expect someone, outside of your family, to just kind of mesh well with you perfectly. I mean, maybe you can. Here's the thing. Maybe you can get lucky. Maybe you can, and some people certainly have. But I feel like you're just getting lucky, to find someone that just meshes with you so well, and you just never argue, and there's just never any friction. I mean, even with your friends, there's friction. Even with your friend, you don't agree with your friends on everything, But what keeps you there, what's more important to you, is your friendship rather than like the frictions or rather than the things that may annoy you. And I feel like a lot of people don't have that same mindset with relationships, with like men and women. It's like no one thinks of, okay, actually the only time they do is when the relationship is just so terrible and stupid and bad. What's interesting to me is like, women will fight for abusive relationships, but they won't fight to overcome this, this drought with their husband and their lack of happiness, which again is a little bizarre to me, but I mean, there's definitely reasons for it. But if you looked at it on the surface, it certainly does seem a little bizarre. You see more women fighting to stay with toxicity and nonsense than you would find them fighting for just being unhappy. They're just depressed. It's because they get those, which is, her whole general thing is a good example of that. You don't fight to make yourself happy. You just like. You just give up over time. And it's like, okay, well, what would make you happy? You know what I'm saying? It was just a question you'd have to ask for yourself. You shouldn't ask another person to make you happy. You need to make yourself happy, and then you need to help someone else. And then guess what? And if that person is also secure and smart and wise, they're going to make themselves happy, and you have two happy people just working to make life easier for each other. I feel like you need to come in within a relationship understanding that you're there for the other person, right? And that other person's there for you. And if any one person ain't there for the other person, then the relationship is just gonna break down. You know, a relationship is in principle something that requires you to be selfless. You know, and if a woman is sitting here, how she's so unhappy, you know what that means? That means she's not thinking about how her husband may not be unhappy, or she's not thinking about how her husband might be fine, or she's not thinking about that. It's still her being selfish. So it is certainly something that the two people have to work on together, but at the same time, there's only really so much any person can do to make you happy. That's still your responsibility. As far as like, I guess to address your question more specifically, and hopefully my response was good to you. Again, I don't think it's so much that men and women have different ways to connect to each other or like to express their intimacy. I honestly don't really even think that men and women are that different in that regard. I feel like you can talk to people, and I feel like you can be vulnerable, and you can cuddle. I don't think that men and women really like. Men treat women differently than the way men treat other men. Like, for example, like as men, you know, we'll argue with each other and we may make fun of each other, you know, and poke out like different things about each other. But like, we all know it's joking. You know, we all know we're just messing around. You can't really do that with a woman. You know, you may be able to like tease her a little bit, but you can't hit her with that same fire you hit your male friends with. You know, so yeah, most men don't kind of treat women the same way they treat men. So the way men bond and the way men bond with other men is a little different than I feel like the way women bond, you know. Men don't want hot women, please. Both are guilty for wanting Chads and Stacy's. Yeah, I think the difference is that it's not even that men will settle, it's that men are perfectly content with never touching a Stacy. But like those Beckys, I guess you could call them, don't want those normal schlubby guys. Like, the truth is, are there dudes who are definitely just gonna be caught by a siren? Like this just beautiful woman that just tells them sweet nothings or whatever they want to hear? Absolutely. Absolutely 100%, Bree. 100%. But again, the difference is that, like, for as much as men may want a siren or may want this beautiful hot girl, there's a lot of guys who will date just an average, regular, fluffy, chubby, normal woman and be happy. And I mean ecstatic to see that woman. There's a lot of men who just be happy with just a girl that's just okay to be around, you know what I'm saying? It goes, Brutiful. That point I made about birth control was towards you. Yes, I do highly recommend that video, by the way. Really eye-opening. Yeah, send it to me on did you send it to me on Twitter? Maybe you did. Let me see. Maybe you did. Yeah, you gotta yeah, shoot that to me on Twitter, on the Twitter. And I'll watch that video. A good relationship has you, them, and us. Both sides must contribute to us. Each can do so differently. Once people feel cheated or wrong, they stop contributing. Love or in business, the same. Yeah? Part of the issue is a female assumption of non-existent bargaining leverage in the modern world. Sir, what would you say are the major differences in relationships between men and women then? Well, with men, there's a good amount of like competition with men. There's a good amount of like battling and arguing with men and like exchanging ideas, you know. With women, there's more like kind of more like comforting. One of the major differences between men and women, I feel, is that like men are forged in fire and women are wrapped in cotton. Like there's a lot, and you'll see this a lot, where there's like a lot of women usually being nice to each other, even if they don't mean it, or lying to each other. there's a lot of coddling of women. There's not really a lot of like harsh criticism. Like with the dude, like if your hair is nappy, you're gonna get told your hair is nappy. And with the dude, like if you say something stupid, you're gonna get told it's stupid. There's a lot of women who like will say a lot of silly, goofy stuff, and like no one will like address it. Like the men won't address it because they want to have sex with the woman, and other women won't address it because they're non-confrontational and they don't want to argue. You know, so with women. I will say there's a little bit of a caveat with some black women though. Some black women are very confrontational, and while a lot of them they don't argue like men or make fun of each other like men, but they're still confrontational, as in like they not just necessarily the whole attitude problem stereotype, but they don't let bullshit slide kind of thing where they'll call you out. Black women sometimes are a little exempt from this, but a lot of women in general, there's more of like a comfort. There's more like always trying to be soft with them rather than like telling them what's up and like battling them. And like a lot of women aren't like battle hard, and you can see a lot of this actually on the internet. When women get so upset and sad about negative comments, it's because they never built up that resistance to them, because they never had it. They've always had the opposite, you know. So their mental fortitude is a lot lower than some dudes, because they just don't, like I say, they're not battle hardened, quote unquote. You know, they're not forged in the flames of being roasted as a young man and being told what you did was wrong or what you did was silly. That's just not their typical experience. Again, some black women are exempt, some black women are different. They're absolutely, you know, a lot different, but in general, from what I've seen, not really. Which has its strength, which has its benefits and its weaknesses. I mean, as a woman, you know, not being super confrontational does mean you can kind of slide in and out of different social problems a little bit easier. But at the same time, if you're never confrontational, then you can never solve a problem. You know, sometimes it's good to just kind of let things go, but other times some things have to be addressed, because otherwise it'll just keep happening to you. So there's got to be a balance there, I feel. Sirs, I would be happy with a girl that's an adjustable 6. So someone that's a little bit above average. Like 5 is average. So someone's like above average. You'd be fine with that. Oh, Brutal, you don't use Twitter? I would drop the link of the video and like some other video I have, and I'll probably find it when I check the comments. Both men and women are looking for a mate that will promote healthy children with the best capability for life. The problem is that this overreach has become almost manic. Social media is to blame. Honestly, I would argue the complete opposite. I would say that both men and women aren't looking for people to have children with, and that's kind of the whole problem. It's kind of the whole problem is, if you were looking for someone to be the best possible mother, how would you go about that, Belmare? Like, think about that one for a second. Now ask yourself this question. If you were looking for a woman that just wanted to make you feel good, how would you go about finding her? Now, so first, their method of finding that woman is probably going to be different, number one. But like number two, here's the next question. What would you like about a woman that you want as a mom versus what would you like about a woman that just wanted to make your pee-pee hard? I'm going to be honest with you, it's probably not the same thing. It's probably not. And so, truth be told, the two ideas should be married to each other. The person that you want to have sex with should absolutely be someone that you think would be a good parent. But most people, they're not looking to reproduce when they have sex in 2020. So most of the time, they just want to feel good. Because a man that mates with many females becomes less capable to adhere to limitations of one-on-one relationships. Women, on the other hand, become unable to maintain emotional bonds after a few mates. I mean, yeah, that's kind of generally people. King Doge. You know what made me just realize? You know what you made me just realize? Men and women both get treated to an extreme of something. It's never really malleable. Men get treated harshly and women get treated nicely, or am I wrong? Yeah, it's a lot of that. It's a lot of that. It's not so far as that men will never get treated kindly and women will never be treated harshly, like a woman will never get bullied. But generally, like the way the friend group kind of works is it's not men usually aren't sitting around being nice to each other. It's usually guys are making jokes or guys are making fun of each other or something like that. Um, or if not that, it might be some type of competition, or it might be cooperation. It might be men, like if you're playing a video game, you're trying to cooperate or work together, or it's a competition. You may be playing the video game against each other, or I think men, when they become emotional and need help, if you have really good friends, they're gonna let you do it. When I was growing up, I had a few good friends who I could be emotional with and talk about my problems with, and they would just do their best. When you have really good friends, you can have that, you know what I'm saying? But like with men, like the thing is, like I guess if you were to make it, like if you get levels, if there are like levels to this, right? Where like level 1 is the surface and then level 2 you get a little deeper. Level 1 is, usually it's a competition or a cooperation with men, and then level 2 is if you get serious and you really need help, a good friend is going to be there for you and help you out. Women, on the other hand, they're not norm. They don't norm. You ever notice that most girls don't have a big gamer group? It's usually maybe 2 girls and a group of, and then like 4 guys or something like that. Like usually girls aren't like competitive with each other like that, or girls aren't like arguing or fighting and whatnot. Usually, like women oftentimes talk about a lot of really frivolous stuff with each other. um I've actually this might be sad to say, I've actually my mom and my aunt are different. But usually most girls, when I see them talk to each other, they don't normally really talk about, you would say, quote unquote intelligent topics like politics, or like even like, interesting relationship dynamics in the TV show they're watching. It's usually kind of like surface level stuff. It's usually just to kind of talk about like hair or kind of silly stuff. Um, which again isn't to say that no woman can't do it. It's just that, from what I've seen, like when I was a substitute teacher, like I remember one time I was in this class full of girls, and like not a single one of them like talked about the work they were doing. Not a single one of them talked about like anything. Like the whole time they're just talking about like relationships and like drama and like silly frivolous stuff the entire time. And I was like, oh, that's interesting, But if you add in a man, like a woman will talk intelligently to a man sometimes, but like between each other, it's kind of rare. I think my mom and my aunt are like the only 2 women I think I've seen in my life where they'll talk about like intelligent stuff like politics or like philosophy or theology. But generally when a lot of women come together, they're not kind of talking about the higher truths of the world. It's usually a little frivolous. Which is why I think a lot of female relationships can break down so much easier, is because it's oftentimes really frivolous and kind of surface level. I think that's why a lot of girls, can be broken apart because one girl is starting to dating the guy that they liked, or like betrayed them or something like that. It's because their friendships aren't that deep. But you know, hopefully that answers your question. Final word of social survival. Yeah, you guys are really arguing about something, huh? All right, let's continue. All right, we're gonna end with these last 2 right here, since this is going on pretty long. Actually, no, I'll save this one for later. Let's go with this one. We're gonna end on this one, guys. We've been going on for, I think, maybe even like 3 hours. Have you ever substituted at a female-only Japanese high school? No, I'm not Japanese. Sirs, have you ever thought about an arranged marriage? I mean, that's not up to me. It's an arranged marriage. What do you mean specifically? Have I ever thought about it? Do you mean like what I want to be arranged to be married to a woman? Um, no, not at all. Mostly because I wouldn't be able to ascertain her ability to be a mom. I just gotta I'm just stuck with her, and she might suck in that regard. Zers, are you still a sub teacher? No, I am not. How would you compare high school girls now in comparison to when I was in high school? That's a good question. The first answer to your question is no. How would I compare them? I think. The girls that I was around were far more intelligent. Now, to be fair, now you have to be fair to my perspective. I was in early college, all right, or dual enrollment. So we were all generally more advanced intelligently, just is the group I was in, than most high schoolers just in general, because we were taking college courses in our junior and senior year of high school. So the girls that I was around were very smart. I'm just to be frank, they're very smart, very intelligent people usually. Um, and so my experience with them, I think, is a little bit. It would be different. I don't think it would be fair to compare because I didn't really spend a lot of time. Well, when I did spend time with like normal high school girls, there's not much differences I can really give to you. I'm gonna be honest with you. There's really not much of a difference between the high school girls I've seen now, like in regular high school, and again, when I substituted for the early college classes, again, the same program I went to, again, they're very smart. It's just intelligent people. Yeah, they could definitely, talk about a whole bunch of different stuff. Normal girls, they're a bit more frivolous. I'm gonna be honest. From what I remember, they're a bit more frivolous, and I think, how would I compare that? They're kind of the same. I think no, that's not true. It's not entirely true. I think one of the biggest differences was that the girls I went to high school with were a little bit more grounded. And what I mean by a little bit more grounded, they were a little bit more, like, I guess you could say, like, approachable as like people. And you could kind of talk to them generally. Um a lot of the girls I meet, a lot of the younger girls now are very there's a much higher barrier to entry to them, like, entertaining people, I've noticed. um it's kind of hard to articulate. It's a little hard to articulate, but like it seems like there's it's I guess it's hard to say. It's kind of hard to put into words. I don't know. uh by the way, I'll leave a link to the video. Okay, in the stream. Oh yeah, no, I'm gonna leave the stream up if I can. I'm not gonna. If it comes down, then I didn't mean for it to. I don't agree with all the points, however. Southern Israelite has. I don't know what you're talking about, Brie. I'm sorry. Sirs, have you ever tried the law of attraction or ever heard of it? I have heard of it. Have I tried it? I mean, not really. And to be honest, answer your question. Honestly, honesty is biologically speaking a bad deal. We love dogs for their inability to betray, but this inability is due to a lower social development in dogs. Even highly social species lies. I mean, I think your comment isn't detailed enough to portray your argument. You say being honest is biologically a bad deal. Why? And like, we would have to say particularly what are we talking about when it comes to being honest. If I say honestly, I want to clap your cheeks to a young lady, and she's like, honestly, I want you to, and then we have sex, and then she gets pregnant, well, there you go. Honesty is a very evolutionarily advantageous trait, because when the two people want to reproduce, they just will. Game, set, match. I mean, versus where, like, if the woman doesn't want me and I have to manipulate her, okay, maybe then honesty would be bad. but then I'm being manipulative. So like, as a higher thinking social species, manipulating people isn't particularly a good thing. We don't really want to, foster an environment where we have to lie and bring people to a false state of security to get what we want. Mostly because then no one would trust each other and we wouldn't be able to have social cohesion. So I think it all kind of depends relatively. But like biologically, I don't think you can make that statement definitively as biologically it's not good to be honest. Again, like if I just say frankly to a girl, I want to date you, and she's like, yeah, I want to date you too. Done. Done. Versus where I meet a girl and I pretend to be her friend and I try to. In fact, honestly, if I try to friend zone my way through a girl and I just really wanted to just only have sex with her and never talk to her again, honestly, doing the friend zone approach is probably not gonna work very well because she's not gonna think that you're sexually attracted to her, and then she's just probably not gonna be with you. So I don't know. We would need more details. Right? We need more details. There's the girls back then had no internet and it was awesome. Yeah. I would probably say that. There's a little less of internet usage. There's a little less social media when I was growing up, I'm going to be honest. A little less. Like, again, I'm only 26. So it was like, what, 10 years ago? I think 10 years ago, the girls, when I say the girls were more grounded, they were more into like talking to you because they really mostly only had like their immediate environment. Now a lot of girls that I've kind of noticed, they're more into like getting on the internet, and like they're more interested in the social media and being connected with lots of people and being on Instagram and stuff. When I was growing up, it wasn't really like that. I say when I'm not even all that old, which is kind of interesting as how different time has gone on, Clobber Tropper. You should get on Face and LMS show sometime. You guys have an interesting conversation. Me and Face and LMS have talked to each other. I think this was a couple of years ago actually. We have talked to each other. His there was something wrong with his recording program. There was something wrong with whatever program he was using to live stream, and it didn't get saved. But no, we have talked before. It just got lost to time, unfortunately. The law of attraction works based on how attractive you are. True. I guess so. Said Zeus the ultimate cheek clapper. I don't know about all that, but Zeus, have you read The Rational Male by Rollo Tomasi? It'd be interesting to hear your thoughts. I have not. I have heard The Rational Male on several different occasions. I just realized that sounded facetious. When I say I've heard it, I've heard like ideas from the book. I don't mean like an audio book. I wasn't like trying to be snide. I just realized it sounded a little snide when Mr. Andrews, but I've heard of a couple of ideas and I've heard of people talk about it, but I've never read it myself. I feel like there's probably a lot of truth to it, but I don't know if I would agree with everything. I probably would have to like read it or like talk it, like look at it for myself. All right, guys, we're gonna wrap this up with our last look. Oh wait, hold on. Zeus, imagine you can only tell the truth because you don't have a capacity to lie unless you're honest. Now imagine yourself in a social situation. I'm honest to a fault. I'm the worst person to imagine this because I'm honest to a fault. I tell people how I feel all the time, but I don't do it like in a mean or crude way. Like I tell people earnestly and honestly how I feel. In fact, now that I think about it, as a kid, I've always been like that. Even when I was a kid, I used to cry, and the reason why I would cry a lot was because I always thought it was a much better idea to show people I was being bothered rather than to pretend I wasn't. And then I learned pretty quickly as a young man that does not work. I learned that boys don't cry. I learned that was not very good. Maybe that's more to your point. I mean, I guess crying, but I mean, at the same time, I got better. I mean, at the same time, maybe that is more to your point. Like, honestly, showing people that you're bothered. And I guess maybe it was the manner of which I did so was never good. But as an adult now, Now that I'm an adult, I still tell people how I feel. Honestly, I try my best to avoid lying. It's not even that it's not even that I try my best. I compulsively tell the truth. I just compulsively tell people, this is the truth. This is how I feel. And the reason why is so that I feel, number one, I feel like is that we're always on the same page with each other. I always want anyone that I'm communicating with or talking to understand that, there's no lie here. This is the truth. This is what we're going to be dealing with. So that way nothing blindsides them. Like, to me, it's a part of me being honorable to them and trying to treat them well by being honest. But I tell people straight up. I've told women straight up that I just want like naked pictures from them. I like straight up, just straight up. And some of them were like, oh, all right, well that's the arrangement, we'll do it. I'm thinking of one in particular, but I actually ended up having a really long relationship with that woman in particular. I had a really long relationship with that woman in particular. So being honest, and I was always honest with her. Like I was, but to talk about her would be his own thing. But no, I'm generally always honest with people. Says Xerxes, you're too genuine for your own good. Maybe I am. Yeah, I had to learn the hard way too. Yeah, Brutafol, you learn too. Hey Xerxes, you got any other good YouTubers with topics similar to yours? No, I'm the best. What you mean, Simoon? No, I'm kidding. I would recommend my friend Nylaved, but she moved away from. My friend NC moved away from making videos, but I would recommended her. I honestly keep to myself on YouTube. I kind of feel a little bit like Spider-Man in that regard, where I'm just kind of doing just in my own little corner of New York, saving people. People I would recommend. I don't know. There aren't very many people who are like me. I would say everyone kind of has their own like niche, and everyone is always trying to like shill for one political group or another. My main concern is you guys avoiding bad people and trying to be good. I don't know very many people who are like me. Honestly, I'll probably look around and I'll make a list and then come back and ask me that again. But which I know it kind of sounds like I'm just, stroking my own ego, but like most people don't talk about, virtue and trying to do good for goodness sake. And like most people aren't like, let's avoid bad, negative women and find good ones. In fact, most content you'd probably find, most people just say this is all negative and bad and these women are shitty. And I'm like, yeah, I do it too, I guess to an extent, but my motivation is, again, to avoid the bad women and to seek good ones and seek ones that are going to work with you. You guys talking about communism and whatnot? I don't know. What are you guys talking about? All right. I'm about to wrap this up, though. Thoughts on single mother by choice. After another disappointing experience with the low-value male, I'm truly wondering if it would be best to either to be a completely single mother or establish some form of co-parenting arrangement with a male friend in the future. You know what this is called? You know what it's called to establish some form of co-parenting arrangement with a male friend in the future? Okay, hey chat, what do you think that's called? What word do you think I would use to describe? Oh my goodness. Hey, someone asked me a question. Totally off topic. What's the story behind your channel names? Oh, you don't know. Okay. The story behind my channel name is I used to play a game called Mega Man Battle Network. I used to play Mega Man Battle Network, right? And in Mega Man Battle Network, there is a secret boss named base.exe. Now, Base was my favorite boss because he's usually the more difficult. He's usually the most difficult boss, right? So Bass or Base, or however you want, I don't really care how you pronounce it, was the strongest boss usually in every incarnation of Mega Man Battle Network, from the first Mega Man Battle Network to the last. So what I thought would be fun was there was another boss called Proto Man in Mega Man Battle Network 6. He was Proto Man FZ, I believe. Let's see if I'm correct here. Pretty sure I'm correct. So Proto Man FZ was one of the final bosses you could fight after you did like all the side quests, right? And so what I thought I would do is I would take Base and combine it with Proto Man FZ and then add the other Z to represent the ultimate form of Base. And that is how we got Bass FZZ. That's how you got it. There you go. Proto Man, yeah, exactly. Yeah, Shaman King got it. Honestly, I'm gonna stop with the female dating strategy stuff. I'm probably just gonna make my own video about this one, and I'm gonna end the stream answering your guys' questions. You got okay? All right. So starting from the top, Lewis, you said cuckoldry. Are you asking my opinion on cuckoldry, or is this a response to something else that I said? Clarify that one for me. All right, Seamoon, you ask me, what's my opinion on Kevin Samuels? That's a good question because I was gonna make a couple of videos about Kevin Samuels actually. My opinion on Kevin Samuels is that we mostly agree, but I think the devil's in the details when it comes to me and him, because he mostly says what I would feel is something that I would honestly say. But again, there are certain parts about Kevin that's still very materialistic, and it's still not entirely, I would say, fair for both men and women. I mean, he's mostly kind of swapped to talking to mostly modern women, but he initially started off by talking to young men. And I'm going to tell you one thing, he's actually a lot nicer to women than he is to men. I'm going to be honest with you. It's kind of funny. It's kind of funny the amount of women who criticize Kevin Samuels for being harsh, but it's like, you guys you guys don't want that smoke. But anyhow, my honest opinion on Kevin Samuels is I feel like he's still a little too materialistic, which is ironic because he's supposed to be, well, I don't know about ironic, but he's supposed to be like a Christian. He should be a lot more spiritual, and he should be a lot more concerned with character of people, but what he's really mostly concerned about is honestly kind of grooming women for high value males. There's a long time where it was like, it honestly feels like no girl walked away from Kevin Samuels with an understanding that what they was thinking was wrong, but more so with the understanding that they have to make concessions to be with a high value male, or to be, and it's like no girl really walks away from Kevin Samuels with like an appreciation for like the men that make their lives easier, even though you could hear Kevin will say every now and again that Kevin talks about blue collar men and how much he appreciates them. Sometimes it feels a little bit more like lip service than it honestly feels like he's genuinely trying to say that like these men need to be in families, and these men need to be with women, and that you guys should just be with normal regular men who just try to do the best they can in the world. It just seems like Kevin isn't really helping these women move kind of past their materialism, but more like trying to get these women to like make concessions for it, or like trying to beat them down. And I don't know if it's a little bit of reverse psychology to kind of tell them that they're not good enough for high value males, so they go with someone else, but I don't know if that's really the most conducive way. Because again, like none of the women ever really leave thinking like, oh, I don't need a high value male. They leave with, I'm not good enough for a high value male. And I don't think that's the same. Like, because what happens is that, like, if they think that they're never good enough, they're just going to carry that into settling for a man that's just going to be around them, and they're always going to be resentful that they were never good enough, rather than in appreciation is, oh, I'm with a man that loves me and treats me well, and I'm thankful for that. You know, I never needed all these riches and all this money. I just needed someone that's going to be there with me and take care of my children and help me when I need help. Those are two totally different things. And I don't think Kevin fosters the appreciation for men. I think Kevin kind of fosters the only desire that anyone should really have is trying to get the high value male or the quote unquote good life, and that these women aren't good enough for it, you know. And I don't think it's good. But I'll talk about that in its own video when we get there. I'm gonna get there one of these days. Kevin Sam is the final boss of Red Pill Rage. Honestly, I don't know if he'd be the final boss. he would be a boss. I would absolutely. He is definitely a boss, but I don't know if he's the final one. Sounds similar to Sargon advocating virtues. He said he discussed it with Adam, Friended Sunday, and Sargon was arguing for virtue and the sanctity of self. It's similar to what you advocate for. Yeah, Sargon's kind of. I've stopped watching Sargon long ago. Yeah, I've seen a little bit of that in Sargon, I would say. Which it's actually pretty interesting. I'm actually really glad that Sargon would try to work towards virtue and trying to help people out. I think obviously our perspectives would be different because he's the atheist and I'm not. I'm a Christian, so I feel like our perspectives would be a little different on there. But no, it's good. I still wouldn't say I don't know. Maybe Sargon is similar to me now, but he wasn't before. So that's why I didn't feel comfortable putting him on the list of similar to me. Because I'm not someone that would say that I'm like red pilled or black pilled or MGTOW or any of that shit. I'm just concerned with helping people. That's all. That's the only thing I'm really concerned with. I'm not into any of that. Yes, Fresh and Fit would be the final boss. That's perfect. That's perfect. Tommy Sotomayor. There's a good case for it that he might be the final boss. There's a good case. The reason why I wouldn't go for it in the Tommy isn't really a red pill quote unquote YouTuber. You would say he's not really a part of the manosphere, but Fresh and Fit. Oh yeah. Yeah, they might be the final boss of Red Pill Rage. Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. All right, you guys. So we've been going on for what, 3 hours now? I'm gonna say I definitely, absolutely, 100% appreciate you guys watching this random nonsensical live stream. I'll probably do more in the near future, definitely. So I'm just, like I said, I appreciate you guys for coming. I'm glad you guys came. You guys are gonna have to continue your discussion somewhere else. But I am going to go get some food to eat, and upload some other videos probably later in the week. So that being said, I certainly hope you guys enjoyed today's live stream. And if you did, man, go ahead and click the like button. Go ahead and click that subscribe button if you just found this randomly. Comment in the comments below. And as always, you guys have yourselves a great day. I'll see you cool cats soon.